Right, you lot. You all wanted me to do a live stream on a Saturday or night, as it is. And here it is. There is no preparation tonight. It's all going to be about what you want to talk about. Any news stories that you post links to in the chat, what you're thinking, or otherwise, call in. I have no preparation, although I'll tell you about what happened this afternoon, which was unfortunate. Not for me anyway, luckily. But yeah, so we'll have the music going. We'll get a few people in there. Make sure you share the link because we're not going to get any help from YouTube, are we? Let's be fair. Nope. You happy? Well, I hope you got a few beers as well, because this could go on. Fuck me, hang on, Welsh guy, give us a second. Wait, literally wait until the music's over. Why is it going to get burnt? Your sausage will not get burnt. And so there it was. That's the music over and done with. Here we are. Hello. The Welsh guy was going to ring in. You'll have to have another go now. And hopefully, looking at that, it should work. And if it doesn't, there we are. Anyway, what happened today? Oh, yes. Went out for a little ride on the bike, and that should work. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, Rev. How are you managing?
All right, mate, really, all considered. Could be worse. What about you?
Well, at least you're not Alex Salmond.
Well, he's managing better than others, really. He's shifted off this mortal coil now and doesn't have to worry too much, does he now?
No.
Do you not think that's a little bit early?
North Macedonia tweeting, then a couple of hours later, he just popped his clogs.
So what? They're saying North Macedonia was tweeting about his passing before his passing?
No, he was in North Macedonia tweeting. And then a couple of hours after he sent out his last tweet, he passed on at the age of, you couldn't make this up, 69.
Well, I'll be honest, my mother died 62 and wasn't expecting it myself, obviously. She'd been quite ill and so on. But had he had any illnesses that we know of? Had there been any problems or whatever? I mean, is this a natural thing? I mean, people do drop down dead. This is something I want to talk to you all about, actually. You can help me here. There was sudden death syndrome before the vaccine, right? There were people that just dropped down dead. No real good reason for it, but they just did, all right? Now, with regards to my old dear, she was on more medication than you could have chucked up a fucking steroid freak that just snapped a muscle and gone down badly. She would be on about 16 tablets a day because she had lupus and arthritis. And then she was one of these people that were heavily invested in the doctor, and the doctor was all too pleased to see her, and every time she went in there he'd give her something else, and that reacted against this, so you know where it's going, right? Anyway, she I would say that she died early doors, right? And she died because she was over prescripted medicine that somebody actually should have just said to her, man the fuck up. But they didn't. And there it is. However, I believe that modern medicine can fix people. But generally speaking, if they want to keep you on medicine for a long period of time, their ambition is to make money out of you. All right. Or make you a, what do they call that? A trustee in medical science or whatever you want. Anyway, so yeah, she copped it. With regards to Salmon, do you think that he was an ill man? I mean, he wasn't a fit man. I think we could all agree that. But was he an ill man? Was this an expected death, or was this completely unexpected? And then we get onto that other topic. Had he had the jabs?
Well, he had a lot of enemies, didn't he? Both at Westminster and at Holyrood.
Well,
so,
I would suggest that he probably pissed off just about everybody around him. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
All right. Now, I know I didn't like the guy.
Pick.
I didn't like the guy at all, right? But it was amazing that we all slagged off Salmon until Sturgeon. And then we realized that Salmon wasn't as bad as Sturgeon. And we realized that Sturgeon had tried to fit Salmon up. And then she went, and then we had some sort of Joe in there. And then, you know where I am, right? And that didn't work exactly well. I don't even know. Here's the thing, right? You get to a point and you think, do I learn, or do I keep my eyes open for the next story? Or do I just get to a point where I know what's going to come next? What is the point in wasting my time? And this is where I am at the moment. I don't know if any of you are there now at the moment. You look around at your friends, you know exactly how it's going to be. You know what they're going to do next. You know what the government are going to do next. In fact, if it doesn't do it, you'd be shocked at your tits, right? And in your case, you know exactly what the Welsh government are going to do, don't you? Right? Now, when they don't do it, that's when you're shocked. But when they do, that's now become normality. Now, that's an insanity all by itself, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So
I think we all know what's going to happen with regards to Starmer and the Labour Party over the next few months.
Well,
and
when you
we
say,
all know why.
When you say we all know, right, you'll have to forgive me here and you'll have to educate me. I haven't seen a single bit of TV in the last 2 months. I have not followed politics in the last 2 months. You know why? Any idea? Are you still?
You've had personal concerns?
No. It's because I know exactly what's going to happen. We're going to get built up, let down, built up, let down, lied to, shit on, lied to. So the detail about it now is, for me, irrelevant. I don't know if anybody else feels like this. If you feel the same way as I'm now, let me know. But if you feel that we know that it's coming, we know we're going to get fucked over, we know we're going to get lied to, and we've got to that point in our life where our life is precious and we want to live and enjoy at least a bit of it while we still can, while we know exactly what's going to happen. And there is, in our case, very little we can do until everybody else decides that, well, we've lost everything, we've got nothing to lose, if you know what I mean. But at this point, right, I don't know about you, I'm not going to stress myself about this. Oh, by the way, that me looking younger, that these two lights here, if I turn them off, you'll see all my wrinkles. They're all there. All right. Okay. I look like shit. It's just those two lights. For some reason, they make me look younger. Thank you, lights. But no, it is what it is. Savage. Hello, my sweet pea. I'm glad you're here. Want to speak to you during the week, but obviously no signal. So yeah, I know where we're going. You know where we're going. We all know where we're going. Do we need to depress ourselves thoroughly every day, or can we give ourselves a break and still be a patriot? That's the question I'm going to ask you, Mr. Caller, sir, Mr. Welsh guy, sir.
Well, I could drop dead at any moment because of my health issues, so it really doesn't matter to me at this point.
Right, that wasn't the answer I was looking for, you miserable, malingering cunt, right? You might be ill, but at the end of the day, you've still got to live, all right? Take that as a kick up the arse, you shitter. All right? Now, can we try a bit better? Right, bear with me. I'll talk. You answer, right?
Right.
The prospect of sweet death, is it sweet or not?
I'm sort of ambivalent.
Okay, now think about this. How many people that don't get given that option that are, say, for instance, in a palliative care place where they've maybe have regrets or they want, I don't know, an extra 2-3 weeks with their loved ones before they pass on, or they want all these things, right? And they can't have it. Can you imagine just how sweet, how precious life is at that moment, right? How much they want the next breath. Imagine this. You've just ran as an unfit fucker for 5 miles, right? You are absolutely gasping for water. And the person that gives you water, right? They seem great to you, but the water is the most impressive and most important thing, and you need it, right? Well, that person that has life ending for them would wish for nothing else. No food, no wealth, no career changes, nothing. All they want for is just a bit more time, right? Think about that. Now, you have time, but you're just not feeling that time anymore, are you? This is not your fault.
No.
This is nobody else's fault. This is just the way it is. It's the way the system's worked. You need to have a look at yourself, right? And this is in the nicest possible way, because at the end of the day, all the time you're still drawing oxygen, you still have a gift that somebody else wants. Think about that.
I will.
All right, good. Because at the end of the day, when people I know have dropped down dead, I bet if I could have fucking given them another shout and said, you can have another 20 minutes or an hour here or whatever, what is it worth? You know, I ask you this. Think of the person that was most precious to you in your growing up, the person you love the most, right? Have they passed on? If they have, what would it be worth to you if you could just reconnect with them for an hour and ask them stuff?
Be worth everything.
Yeah, exactly that. Why?
Because once you're gone, at least down here, that's it. No chance to say thank you, no chance to say sorry, no chance to say good luck.
Right. So this is quite a morbid conversation for early on a Saturday evening, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're going to cheer the fuck up and actually appreciate the fact that you're still alive, because there's many people right at this moment dropping down dead that wish they didn't. All right. You have something that they don't.
Yeah.
Be thankful. All right.
Yeah.
Now go take your F for a shit, cheer up, and call me back later with some news stories. All right.
I've got some interesting ones.
Are you going to cheer up and put it on with a happier tune?
Yeah, I can cheer up.
Good. Cheer up now, because these people expect it off you. They want it off you.
Okay.
Well, come on then. What is it?
First of all, the matriarch of a family-run drug firm has been caught after 14 months on the run.
Right.
She had a 9.5-year prison sentence, but managed to go on the run for 14 months before she was sentenced. But they sentenced her in her absence, and then they caught her, so she's in prison with the rest of her family. A Vietnamese immigrant has been imprisoned for carrying a machete at an off-grid community.
Is that
not far away, and I remember that because the police helicopters were flying overhead looking for him.
Mm-hmm.
And the stabbing incident in Ammanford is going to go to a retrial this January, because apparently there was some jury tampering, from what I understand.
Excellent.
And apparently the accused wasn't the first time that they had taken a knife into school. Came out in court.
Right. Anyway, look, I've had requests to get on to the next caller, because unfortunately they think you're a little sad. upset and depressed. So
I am
you're going to
sad.
have to go and fix yourself and come back. All right.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, then. No worries. Right. I have taken requests and I am listening. Unfortunately, our little Welsh noodle there. Sometimes he was happy, sometimes he wasn't. This was a man that fell out with his mum. We won't go too much into that, but he seems right. Mr. Talky Over Shouty guy. Hello.
Good evening, Simon. How are you?
I hope you're happier than the last guy. Are you?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Well, I hope so. But at the end of the day, we must remember and have a lot of respect with the last caller because he has been following you, Simon, for a long time.
What is
and
that
he has.
like? Do you get a sympathy vote for following me for a long time? Is that like some sort of fucking disease?
No, what I want to say is that he's come out with a lot of intelligent things in the past and a lot of things that has made you think and made you make comments. But what I want to know is what's happening with that ZZR 1400, mate?
Mate, that's still sat in a fucking garage.
Well, how pissed off? How has this fucking happened? How has this happened?
Right. Okay. My mate said to me, he said earlier on, right, as he's on his R1. Oh, I'll tell you a quick story, right? I'll be really quick, right? My clutch is slipping on my Bandit, so it has to warm up before I can actually do anything, right? So I'm following him to said place. We go there, we sit down, we enjoy ourselves, we come back. On the way back, we stop somewhere else where a lot of other bikers are. Nice people, get on with them. One of them says, and this is a guy that lapped my mate. He was on a 6 when the other one was on a 1,000, right? Going around Donington, I believe, or something like that. Anyway. So there's a bit of rivalry. But this guy got on the R1, went up the road very fast. Happy days, came back. Anyway, as he comes back, there's another guy who rocks up on his Ducati. We know him as a mate. One guy gets off the R1, gives it back to the guy that owns it, and then the guy who owns the Ducati gets on the R1. The guy that owns the R1 gets on the Ducati, and I'm still on my Bandit, right, following. We get out of Cheddar. As we get out of Cheddar, we make progression. I won't go too far into details. Anyway, catch them up, and then all of a sudden, this Ducati is making noise like I've never heard before. It's almost like you've turned up the noise of it. If its normal noise is 1, it went up to about 10. And I'm like revving my bike and checking my bike, and I'm thinking, this sounds terrible. It's like the bottom end's gone on my bike. No, the bottom end went on the Ducati, unfortunately. And yeah. When you switch bikes and you get on your mate's bike and you both cane each other, seems like a really good idea. But anyway, one of them's gone in with a blown engine, and that was today. And I was glad I wasn't on anybody else's bike. My ZZR, I'm still waiting for the documents. They did get hold of me and they said, oh, we'll start processing it on the 16th of this month, right? Which is 4 days' time. Then after that, you'll get your documents in 5 days. I'm like, brilliant. So is that like 2 months I've had this fucking bike before I can ride the cunt?
Are you allowed to tell us who the fuck these people are that are banging out bikes without the proper paperwork, or not? I'd imagine probably no.
Not at this very second, because
no,
they've
no.
immediately.
Well,
let me explain. They've admitted they're sorry. They're going to give me compensation. They've decided the compensation, and they've decided on, you tell us when you get your documents back, and we will give you the compensation from the time you get the documents from the time you bought the bike. That's their plan.
Yeah, well, you definitely deserve some compensation, and that's as far as I'm going to take it. But at the end of the day, for some kind of qualified dealership to bang out some bike that's not got the paperwork, that that is fucking disgusting, really, to tell you the truth. That's alarm bells every fucking day. So you've not even ridden this 1400? No, are you joking me, man? Do you know you're going to feel such a fucking difference? It's going to be unbelievable. But like a friend like from years ago would say to me, you can ride a big bike slow and steady as well. Yeah, and it's there if you need it. But honestly, that's fantastic. I've got a 2012 Bandit 1250. I remember picking it up from the dealership, and he started it up and it was just it was shit. I couldn't hear the bastard when he brought it out of the fucking motorbike shop. Poured some fucking petrol out of it into it in front of me, said, "There's your fucking £10 worth of petrol, off you go." I said, I can't even fucking hear it. But what I've done is I've changed the exhaust, and thank God I have. And now I can hear it, and every other fucker can hear it as well. And it is also I can feel the torque as well. Although saying that, when I originally rode a 1200 Bandit years and years ago, there was a lot more torque. The bike is fucking just basically fucking boring. You know, it really is. But I'll tell you something that isn't boring, and that would be a fucking ZZR 1400. And respect to you, but I just can't believe, like, I'd imagine it was like 4, 5, maybe £6,000, and some cunt like giving you the bike, and you can't even fucking just. I've bought bikes where I've got on it within the next hour. You know what I mean? But anyway, it's amazing that you're so what's the word?
Chilled out about it.
Chilled out, definitely. Simon, I have been listening to you. I thank you for coming on tonight. I mean, it's just like, and you know, you can't. My mum always says to me, you can't rely on the TV. You can't rely on. Just make yourself happy. But at the end of the day, man, you know, when I think about how quickly the year 2020, and then soon it's going to be 2025. And as far as I'm concerned, the last 5 years has just been nothing but shit throwing at you. You know what I mean? It's just fucking unbelievable. It's actually a joke. And I think if you thought too much about it, you make yourself fucking ill. So I'm old school, and I'd just like to say, fuck them all. And Simon, thank you for coming on tonight, because, you know, you've got your regulars, you've got your people that you know, there's fuck all else happening, mate. And honestly, no matter what happens in the future, respect to you, mate, and respect to you. You just seem to be like a normal bloke, like a lot of, like, well, saying that, the old fellas on the bikes, I don't know if you've noticed that most of them are in their 50s, they're overweight, they turn up somewhere trying to squeeze into their fucking levers, and keeping the whole bike thing going. But the more and more that I go out on my bike, I just get fucking bored now, until I get onto certain roads, and it's just fucking boring. You know, all these average speed cameras and shit, it's fucking disgusting. You know what I mean? I should be allowed to go out on a dry, nice day and ride like a bastard and overtake some shit and wind it on a little bit, to be free as an individual and as a fucking man.
That's the whole point about having a bike, is that you decide to do whatever you want and fuck everything else.
Well, yes, of course.
When I mean, because when I go out on my own, I'm steady, I follow everybody else. When my mate fucks off in front of me, I'm like, I am that, and I'll let them set the pace. Right, they can go ahead, and if I don't like it, I'll pull back. And there are times where I'm like, why have you slowed down? But the whole point about being a bloke is being, unfortunately, competitive with your mates. And I'm not usually competitive, right? The other thing about being a bloke is taking unnecessary risks because they give you pleasure. The other thing about being a bloke is just doing stuff that nobody else does and that you understand, but they don't, right? Now, how many people in here have ridden a bike? Put one in the comments if you have, right? Now, secondly, how many people in here that have ridden a bike? Put 2 in the comments if you've taken unnecessary risks purely because they gave you pleasure. Now, a lot of people say you're being very irresponsible, but life is all about living, and you decide to yourself how much you're going to live and how much you don't. When you decide to wang that fucker on and go past things that are doing 30 at 120 miles an hour, that's your choice about whether you're going to live or die. That is your choice. Yeah. Right at that moment, you are on the cusp of life. Now, I don't encourage anybody to do it, right? Not at all. But for me personally, there have been times when I've just gone, this is the spirit of life. This is This would have been what jousting would have been like in
well,
the old
well,
days.
well said. Well said. Well said. It's like I had 132 out on a 40. And it was like, no, fuck it. If there is, I know that the police would be pulled up there on that side of the road in that particular spot. But beforehand, I've got a lot of time to wind it on a bit. And when I've got drivers coming the other way, not flash, well, that's getting rarer as well. These cunts that do not flash their fucking lights when the police are stood there with a fucking speed camera is making me fucking ill. So there has been a couple of occasions where I've got on the road and yeah, it is a 40, but no, fuck me, I managed to get 140 out of that road. And there was, thank God, no fucking police there. And to tell you the truth, the time there was police there trying to make money for the fucking royal family. Some cunt did fucking flashes lights at me and shit. But I should be allowed to go out there and fucking do 140, wherever the fuck I want. You know what I mean? As long as I believe that it's a fucking dry road, clear of no collisions, and I should be allowed to fucking wind it on, especially in this day and age. But it's getting worse now. I'm even thinking of selling the bike because it's getting fucking boring.
Here's a thought, right?
I have to travel out miles from my fucking house and my garage. I have to travel fucking miles before I can open it up properly, and just fucking, just fucking rape some earbuds with the sound of my fucking loud exhaust.
Here's the thing, right? You're born, right? And then all of a sudden you realize that you're in somebody else's world with somebody else's rules. But really, it's about your life. Essentially, it's about your life. After that, if you get into a relationship with somebody else, it's about respecting them. And then when you have kids, it's about the lives that you've created. But essentially, before that, it's your life, right? Now, when you get older and your kids are all grown up, you don't want to upset them, but you still have to have a life and some enjoyment yourself, right? There is a period before kids that you're an absolute thug and outright whatever, and you have, well, if you're like me, the most amount of fun, unbelievable amounts of pleasure. And then you have a kid and you have to grow up, right? Then after the kid's grown up and become an adult and got a job and everything yourself, you think to yourself, right, I'm not dead yet. I do still have some yearnings in this body, and there's still an element of country, right? Here we are. So when you get given a bike, which transforms you from being a dull 56 maximum mile an hour person to 0 to nothing in seconds, all of a sudden the old person comes back to you, the young, the lunatic, the thug. I like it. Now, there's going to be people listening to me now going, that's terrible. Well, that's up to you. I have never felt more happier and more alive than when I've got that thing wound right back. Nobody else in front of me, right? I'm not hurting anybody else. It's just me now. You'd either kill yourself or sort yourself out, right? And when you've got that pinned like that, you're like, oh my God, this is better than any drug in the world. Now I understand why bikers go out there and kill themselves. They didn't mean to kill themselves. They were getting off on the drug they were giving themselves. And there's a fine line. So what I'm trying to say here is I wouldn't ask anybody to go out and do what I do. And I don't do it very often. And most of the time I drive very sensible. So if you're a pig, sorry, a copper, whatever, watching this, you'd have a hard job catching me, right? Because most of the time I'm behaving myself, and so are the lads, right? But there is that tiny little moment which you haven't got to me, you haven't caught me, you haven't policed me, and I've lived. Now think about this. More and more rules every day. It's all about suppression. It's all about taking the jam out of your donut. It's more about ruining your fun. If they actually gave a fuck about our health or whatever, we wouldn't have been put through what we've been put through over the last 3 or 4 years. Now, would we, right? So the rest of this is all about control. When I go out my bike, you don't control me. I do what I want. That's it. However, I don't want to get caught. That's where we are.
Yeah. And I spend, when I go out my bike now,
Sorry.
I spend the rest of the fucking 2 or 3 weeks in between shitting myself, thinking about whether or not I'm going to get a fucking thing through my letterbox telling me that I have to go on some fucking awareness fucking course, which is what I've already paid for, £88 at the Trickle and Trout fucking hotel outside Preston. I have to turn up and listen to some cunt, going on about shit that won't fucking teach me one thing about how you fucking ride or drive on the fucking roads. Do you know what I mean? I'm expecting it to be like a HGV fucking meeting where you turn up and you speak about nothing, to do with fucking HGV driving at all. It's just going to be shit. I've not been on one of these things for fucking years, but I'm expecting to turn up with a bunch of cunts in a fucking hotel room chatting shit for 2 hours while I sat there, having to take. Some people take a day off work. Some people change their fucking plans or whatever, and it's an extra pain in the ass. But at the end of the day, these cunts are out to get your soul, and they don't give a fuck about you. They don't want to hear about you enjoying yourself on a day out when you've worked hard and putting some petrol in the fucking tank of a motorbike and going out and fucking doing 100 miles an hour, which is fuck all. It's a nice speed. But at the end of the day, these cunts don't want you to hear about you driving from fucking Lancaster to London on a day out and having some fish and chips and enjoying yourself and all that. Those days are fucking over. All these cameras that are coming out, and they're bringing them out more and more and more. It's all about control and taking you over as a person and taking the fun out of fucking life, mate. I grew up on the Isle of Man, and I could go out and go as fast as I can on the mountain road and other places around the island. And you soon learn how fast you can go, and you soon learn how fast you can drive. But honestly, all this shit is just turning people to mush, mate. And they're just fucking, it's disgusting, mate. It's disgusting.
On a slightly different note, I drive a truck, right? Which you probably know, right? Now, we'll go into gaps that we know we can fit. Now, we work on...
Yeah, you soon get used to it, mate. I've done it all. You soon get used to it.
Right, we work on tolerance like that. Now, what I'll see is a car that's got that much, right? That's my head, that much, right? Between me and them, that will jump onto the curb because they don't know the width of their own vehicle, right? These are the same people that are telling me to go on a track day instead of risking other people's lives. You prick.
Oh, God, it's fucking what is happening to society. Everyone's going soft. Everyone's talking about going 160, 70 miles an hour. It's just nothing. It's fucking soft. Everyone's going soft to shit.
Indeed. Anyway, my love, I'm going to let you get on because there's probably going to be one of them want to ring me up and have a go at me about being...
I fucking hope so. Simon, thank you. Have a good night and respect to you, mate. Take care.
Mate, you take it steady. So there's going to be one of people that want to have a pop, right? But here's the thing. When you go flat out down the lanes and there's nothing else around, there it is. And if you got a problem with that, me killing myself down there, then I don't care. Fuck you. Hello.
Hey, is that the Simon?
Allegedly. Go on.
Yeah. Hello, mate. Yeah, I've had a few beers tonight, so...
Nothing wrong with that, son. Nothing wrong with that. What's on?
Yeah. I'm going to try and refrain from my education from the state education and the building site education. I'm going to try and not to swear.
Why?
I've listened to you for
just be yourself,
quite a
mate,
while.
And swear. Just be yourself.
I can't do that. Yeah, because it's not myself. It's what I've been brought up to do.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and be someone different. I've been listening to quite a lot of your podcasts and sort of your live streams, and I've been listening to quite a lot of how to get out of this mess. And I'd like to get your opinion on affidavits and sort of like the legal fiction stuff.
Right. I don't know enough about the law. What I do know is the law's fitted up to keep us where we need to be, right? Now, if anybody comes out and says the Constitution is the solution, we've had this before. These people have let other people go in front of them saying this, and these people have been prosecuted, right?
Yeah.
the Constitution, if it was done properly and adhered to, would be the solution, right? No ifs or buts. But because our legal system doesn't work by that anymore, right? Then we can't go.
It's not lawful, is it?
No, we can't go up in front of them and say, "Oh, I stand under the Constitution," because they're just going to walk all over you because they're an organized racket that bullies people into paying their taxes and doing whatever it is they want them to do. And they make a massive deal out of people who, say, for instance, do next to nothing but make a big deal about it. Example, these people that go onto social media and say, I don't believe in this, and this is wrong, right? And this is why. If they're going for the system itself, right? Say, for instance, and they're backing up the status quo, they will be held up high, they will be endorsed, they'll be pushed forward. If they're saying, I don't believe in the latest laws you've brought out, or I don't believe in the medical intervention, or I don't believe in this, that, and the other, these people, if they start to gain traction, or if they've just pinged the nuts of something that wants to have a go at them, they will fall foul of the law. Now, how is it that a stipendiary back in the day, yes, I was being done for drink driving and I deserved everything, but when my boss left a knife in the car, right? It was a Stanley knife. We were cutting out windows, right? The stipendiary said, you had a knife in a public place. I said, it wasn't a public place. They went, it was. I went, no, it was my car. They went, that's a public place. I said, it's a public place if everybody has access to it. It isn't a public place if there is a restricted amount of access, in the same way that my house isn't a public place. I said, is my house a public place? He said, well, no, of course it's not. I went, but I have the keys to my house and I have the ability to restrict people's access to that house. Should I not want them to enter? He went, agreed. I said, my car, does everybody have a key to my car? He went, no. I said, people who gain access to that car are gained access by me saying you can come in. He went, agreed. I said, so how can that be any different to my car? He went, no, you're right. I'm still nicking you. Now that's a stipendiary, right? That's one man with an ego who decides he has a remit he wants to nick you for. So now I have a bladed weapon on my license or my record for the rest of my life, right? My boss was in court to say I'd left that Stanley knife in his car. It's not his fault. It's my fault. I'm holding my hands up. They didn't want to know. They nicked me, right? Now, when you've got a law like that, you realize that the law is subject to person's feelings, emotions, and how they are on that personal day. When that is the case, then the Constitution doesn't stand a chance, because they've got a new sense of law in there that is all about, I need to feel powerful. I need to punish somebody today because I've got a small cock and I was beaten as a kid, or my missus is fucking somebody else who's younger than me, or you get it, right? Okay. These people always gravitate to these positions because they adore power. They thrive on being powerful because they're all weak in themselves. Our legal system is corrupted because it's not run by strong men. It's run by weak men needing to bully strong men. So the Constitution would have tried to sort that out in the old days. What we have now is a bunch of people who worship lumps of wood, who want to go high up in the masonry, who will do any acts of fucking wrongness when it suits them to get off or to gain higher position. That's where we are. So there is nothing that we can do about the law now to address it or redress it. The only thing that will redress it is something I'm not prepared to talk about on here.
Yeah, but I fully understand what you're saying, and I absolutely agree with you. But however, it's a legal fiction. Yeah.
Yep.
What did your mum say to you? What did your mum call you? Your mother call you, and your father call you when you came out of the womb? Yeah, you weren't Mr. This and Mr. That in capital letters, were you?
No, it was a mistake.
Yeah, I think we all were, to be honest.
No,
but you weren't.
I've had
it's
so
a
many
legal
names.
fiction.
I've had so many names in my life that people that I consider to be close to me used, right?
Yep.
So when I was young, because I was fat, they called me Slim, and then I got slim, and then I got fat. But anyway, so they were Slim. Then there was Dr. Death, right? That was the name I got on the railway.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
How
well,
did you get that one?
Oh, this is quite funny actually, because I started on the railway and I went onto this one gang, and they were like real grafters. And I went on there with a fucking heavy cold, and they were taking the piss because I couldn't work as hard as the rest of them. And I went, mate, you do not want this. And they were like, oh, yeah. Next thing, they're all dying. They didn't come in. The van was fucking empty. There was 3 of us at work, and the boss,
Yeah.
the boss, also dying himself, went, fucking hell, what have you done? You must be Dr. Death. That's it. We're going to call you Deaf, right? So I became Deaf, right? Which was quite interesting because I became a bit of a quite well known on the railway. So you'd be going down to a site access. There'd be all these blokes waiting at the side of the site access for the rail to become empty, no trains, and they'd all be smoking, and it's pitch black, and you get a light every now and again. You can see all these fucking fag ends, and all you could hear is these people going, right, Deaf? You're like, yeah. But it was one of those.
Yeah, man.
So I was known as Deaf.
So, yeah. So on that basis, when you leave that job, yeah. So when you go for another job and you have to fill in these tax forms, yeah. Why didn't you say your fucking name is Deaf?
Oh, I could have called myself anything, couldn't I? Because there was
exactly.
there was
Yeah.
Deaf, there was
They
Rev, there was
always say
Slim.
you got to put Mr. this and Mr. that and fucking Mrs. this and the other. Yeah. What if you don't? What can they do?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know
What can they do if you don't conform to their little forms where you got to put your little name
Right,
and your little
the
block
ba-
capitals?
right.
What can they do?
Basically, they can take away your freedom in the end because they can do what they like, and you
What
have.
freedom? But you gained your freedom, haven't you? Because
Right.
you can do whatever you want after that.
Are we going to talk common sense, man to man here, or are we going to be hypothetical? All right, let's
I
talk.
don't know.
Yeah.
Is everything
Right.
hypothetical or is it?
No, right. You're
No?
living at the moment, and you're eating, and you're breathing because that's today, right?
Yes.
That's how I work. That's in today, right now, right?
Yes.
I don't walk in any legal jargon, and the very fact that I'm here and not in custody.
Oh, Death coming in again.
Yes. The reason I'm here and not in custody is because I didn't get caught, right? Am I right?
Yep.
Now,
True.
now you can go up to them and say, depending on how they feel, I don't believe in what you're saying because I don't stand by it, because I don't stand under and all that stuff. Am I correct?
That's true. Yes.
Right. Now, some of them will just go, I don't believe in you, and nick you anyway. And some of them will stand by and listen to what you got to say, depending on the police officer, right?
Yes.
Now, if they decide to nick you, right, and then you carry on protesting, if you met up with the worst of the worst of the worst, right, you could end up with a prison sentence, couldn't you? And admit that you could.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Providing you enter their jurisdiction.
when you say you enter their jurisdiction, if they handcuff you and take you by force, you don't have any choice, do you?
Well, yeah, because that constitutes kidnapping and false imprisonment.
Yes, I agree, but nevertheless, if these people who they were brought up and fed on the machine, right? They believe everything they're told, and they follow and adhere to the thing that restricts them because they want some hierarchy out of that thing. We correct on this?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
These people will persecute you to get higher and more loved by the thing that restricts them, right?
Yeah, the corporations. Yeah.
Whatever it is, the law, the corporation, whatever.
Yeah.
So when somebody like you stands up refreshingly and says, I don't stand under your shit and I don't want nothing to do with it, the people that will punish you will be the people around you, not the people above you.
That's true enough, because they don't understand, do they?
No, they're victims of the system. And some of them are the most gullible victims of the system that believe that if they massage the system, they will do better than somebody else that they grew up along with. It's a bit like when you look at, say, for instance, Marxism or socialism. Everybody likes the idea of having nothing less than the person next to them, but everybody there wants something more than the person next to them. And if you look at these lefties, that's one of the biggest problems with them. Some of them are real failures, and they don't want to have less than you, and they want to make sure that you don't have more than them. Now, is that socialism or is that bitterness?
It's a hypothetical question, isn't it?
Well, it's hypothetical to you and me, but if they had their chance,
every system has good and bad.
Right? Okay, if they had their system, or if they had their chance, these people that want fairness for you and me would like to be totalitarian leaders over you and me, and then they'd like to have the ability to decide whether we go forward or we don't. One thing I've noticed about the left is they're so caring is they want to be your boss. They don't want you to have what they don't have, and they want to make sure that you don't go any further than they can.
Do what you're told.
Now going back to the Constitution, right? The Constitution is something that our legal system has managed to sideline on every opportunity given, and now we consider that the legal system framework that we have at the moment has always been that way, and that this thing that called the Constitution is some sort of mythical thing that was done away with years ago for its own good, right? Something like that. And they've managed to hoodwink just about most of the population to believe in this, right?
I like that word, hoodwink. That's a good word, hoodwink.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that one.
So now we're all believing that this thing, right, is going to either take us away if we don't pay our TV license, if we don't pay our council tax, if we don't pay our insurance, that this thing has the legal right to be able to take away all sorts of stuff, right? Now, every now and again, once in a blue moon, you hear about some person who pulls out some old rules and goes, fuck you, you're not taking any of mine, go fuck yourself. And then the bailiff goes away or whatever.
They change the rules.
Now, how many times does that happen against how many times does that not happen? Now, if we're going to be realistic, you can probably say out of 1,000 times, 1 or 2 people might get away with that. But generally speaking, the rest of us will have our liberties violated and we'll end up having our stuff taken, or we'll all sorts of stuff, right? This is the way it is, right? Now, if everybody on the same day came out and said, fuck your law, it's the Constitution now, tomorrow would be the Constitution, right? But it's not the case because they've managed to knock the living sources out of us, right? Can you remember 1984 and the miners' strike? That was the last time that we had any solidarity. Now, we had 2 problems there.
That was when the police were police.
Well, they were in the road, right? And I'll explain some of that, right?
If you know what I mean. At least the coppers had some fucking balls in them days.
But they did. But what they were doing is they were waiving their wage slips. They were on treble time for this, right? They were waging their wage slips in front of the Welsh miners or the Northern miners, whatever it was. And they were saying, thanks for doing what you're doing. And then they batter them, right? Now,
at least we weren't fucking doing TikTok videos. No,
truthfully, right? But at the time, the Welsh or the Northerners were being led by a guy called Arthur Scargill, who now, when you look at it, was paid opposition, right? That truly was paid opposition. Think about this. His entire remit was to try and break the government that we had at the time and bring about Marxism. And he admitted this, right? So he used the poor working man, the blue collar worker at the time, and he put them out to graze without any grass for, it was over 12 months, wasn't it? What was it, 18 months nearly before they capitulated?
Yeah, and they paid for it as well with their union subs.
Yep. So they paid this guy, right? So you, and the NCB, National Coal Board, went up and they brought in an equally deluded American fuckwit called Ian McGregor, right?
Yes.
Now, Ian McGregor, at some point, right, one commenting towards the TV at the time, they actually thought he'd lost his marbles. And I have to say, I've looked at the footage and went, that guy is off his pickle, right? Now you've got Arthur
You,
Scargill.
you can walk down the same fucking road as the Liverpool Dockers with Derek Hatton and all them fucking idiots.
Exactly. So you've got Scargill got massively rich and then went and joined the European Union. Right now, Scargill is a Marxist and then joins the European Union. Is he a Marxist or is he a full of shit, deluded dreamer that got incredibly wealthy off the little people, then joined the club and got fat?
Yeah.
Am I about
It's
right?
like the fucking rest of them, innit?
Yep, exactly that. Now, there have been a few others, but at the end of the day, since he got the entire fucking blue-collar workers together and he held them out to ransom for fucking 18 months, everybody else has said after that, I'm not doing that. So the fishing men...
Yeah, but he didn't hold them to ransom. He held the fucking working man to fucking ransom.
Yes, he did. And basically...
He didn't hold the elite to any fucking
No, I'm
ransom.
talking about the working
He
men.
just fucking sold everybody out.
No, you must have missed what I said. What I meant was he was literally held the working man, the blue collar, to ransom. These people believed in him. They trusted him, right? And he shit on them. And he knew he was going to do it. That's what makes him evil, right?
Yep.
So, you know, after that, people go, we had a hero we believed in who shit on us. Why are we going to do this again? And also, I don't know if you've ever been in any sort of transport union. We worked out that when you work for, say, for instance, Tesco's, Asda, Co-op, Morrison's, they'll have union in there, but the union
you get unison in there, don't you? You get them all in there.
But the union works with the company, and it puts down the people who are, what should we call, more spicy, right? So the people that come up with, there's something wrong with this, you need to fix this. The union will come on board and say, yeah, we agree. And they'll sit down, they'll talk to you and all the rest of it. And you talk to the people on the site, all the rest of it. And then very quickly, that problem will get like wound up in all sorts of cotton wool, and we'll get around to that. But you'll get fired because they'll find something you didn't do.
Yeah.
And that's where you are. Fuck unions, because the unions are either Marxist or they're sold out. And I don't believe there's anything in between.
Well, there isn't. It's self-education, isn't it?
Right. People on here are asking, who is Daddy Dragon? I don't want to run Daddy Dragon down. I have no interest in that. And I've no interest in bigging him up, talking him down, or do anything, right? So if somebody else wants to introduce or say who Daddy Dragon is, I'm sure you know who he is.
I've got no idea who that man is. I don't read the chat. I don't read sort of like people thumb punching and sort of like having opinions in words because I don't understand their...
Right, just a quick one. Somebody said Rev hates him. I don't hate anyone. And I certainly don't hate.
Hate's a bad word.
Yes.
Hate should be taken out of the vocabulary.
I certainly do not hate Daddy Dragon at all. None. Not at all. I disagree with him. And I think that his approaches could be detrimental to other people. But I don't hate him. And I don't...
Right, so, just a question before you go any further. Who's Danny Graham?
It's not Danny Graham. It's Daddy Dragon.
Danny Dragon. Who's Danny Dragon?
Daddy Dragon is Graham Moore.
Daddy Dragon.
He is the Constitution Party. Now, he believes in the Constitution.
That's not his... Is that his real name, or is this an assumed name?
Graham Moore's his real name.
Did his mummy call him Daddy Dragon?
I have no idea about this business, right? All I know is that he had a YouTube channel.
And some he assumed to be called this.
He had some very good points at times, right? And he had a YouTube channel, and they got rid of him because he was saying stuff that I don't think they liked. So he is on Rumble, and I would say to anybody, go and look him up, right? I have no problem with this guy, right? We've gone our own ways. We did get on for a short while, but unfortunately, on one of his interviews with me, admittedly, I'd had a beer. And there was a Glyn, and Glyn asked some awkward questions, and it didn't go very well. So there it was. Anyway, and that was the end of our relationship as it went.
Yeah. You had a difference of opinion then, yeah?
I had no opinion on it, really. No, there were just some questions asked by Glyn, innocent, honest questions, and that
Yep.
seemed to be the end of that. But
What a shame.
well, exactly. But I think that Graham's still beating the drum and still believing in the Constitution. And from what I gather, I think he showed up on somebody else's platform the other day, which is interesting to say the least. And if he has, I wish him all the best. I have no idea what was spoken about there, so I can't comment on any of it. So there is.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't know about this Daddy Dragon fella, so I can't comment on that one. So I know that I'm not going to dig myself a fucking pit for that one. You know, I'll have a look at him up and see what he has to say.
So anyway,
I appreciate people's different point of views.
But this being a free moral land, it's great to think
as long as they're saying it. See, I can't be looking at all this chat stuff with all these thumb punches because I don't understand the mood they're in and the feeling that they have when you look at this sort of like chat thing, and you don't know what people are feeling. You know, all you're doing is reading words that you're reading words in the mood that you're feeling. If you know what I mean. So you can't understand what they're trying to express.
So what you're saying is you can understand voice and all the different inferences a voice has, and
yes,
right, but with even with text and grammar, and I have to say I'm the same, by the way. From a dyslexic's point of view, I'll read stuff wrong, and I'll get.
Since you're dyslexic, can you spell it?
No, but
the most awkward word you can't spell because you can't spell, so you're called dyslexic, but you can't even spell it.
But luckily, if you if you type in your phone, you go DYS, and the rest comes up, and you went, that looks like it there. So, but anyway, being one of those people that's dyslexic, yes, it is what it is. But I can read the comments here, and I can get most of it. Right, but if say for instance you're pen paling a new person, then you have to read that letter a few times and try and work out the context. Now, if like me, you're not very good at grammar, you're not the best at putting punctuation in, then your words will read like a fucking horror story.
So, exactly. Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, no, we've had a message from somebody else. So anyway, my old China, I'm going to have to get somebody in here, Sergeant. You might have to come on and run this chat for 10 minutes while I go for a wee.
Go for it, my friend. No, I'll tell you something, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Well, I'm the same in real life, mate. This is it. This is all you get, by the way.
You really has. I've tried ringing you a couple of times when I've been sort of like going to Tesco land and getting some more beer, and sort of like I've missed a live stream when I've been catching up. But it's been an absolute pleasure, sir.
No worries, buddy. Right. Well, I've sent the link to Sarge.
Could I just ask one last question? Are you going on the 26th?
Not at the moment, mate, because I've just had a load of money go out. I was borderline skint anyway, right? And
join the club.
And then I said to the boss for 2 months, I said, my CPC is going to run out. Yeah, we'll sort that out. We'll sort that out. And he got to the end. He went, I can't help you. I was like, brilliant. And then I had to take time off, which is X amount of day. And then it was like, so I've had 4 days off at the rate. And now they said that because you did days and nights, we have to enter it in manually, which could take up to 2 weeks. I'm like, fuck that. So, yeah. Are we thinking about running away, Sarge? Get in here. So anyway, life hasn't been brilliant, but it's not bad.
Simon, I'm going to let you get off and talk to the sergeant.
All right, mate. No worries. Well, you take it steady, all right?
And you, mate. And hopefully, we'll meet up at some rally down in the old capital, eh?
Well, mate, when I get some more money in the bank eventually, which I don't think the system's allowed me to have, but when I do, then I can go.
Yeah, well,
But
we'll tell them to do some super chats and get some money in, eh?
no, I don't ask for it. I won't do it. And incidentally, super chats, it'd suck up.
Dear.
It would
Yeah.
suck up
Make you
half the
shoot
money.
some money, eh?
Oh yeah, innit? Yeah, you're right. Anyway, I'll see you in a bit.
Yeah, you take care, my friend, and good luck to you, my friend.
No worries, mate. You take it steady, all right?
And you, mate. Hopefully we'll meet up at some point.
All right, no worries. Catch you in a bit. Bye bye. Now, Sarge, are you thinking about just hanging around there out the way and not getting involved when I really do need a pee? Thank you very much. I will speak to you when I see you. Blah. So anyway, am I going? No, no, can't afford it. I'm barely going to pay the bills. That's all. And I don't know about any of you. You think, yeah, I'll get around to it and the bills will get sorted, and they just don't, do they? Because every fucking month, something else comes along and kick you straight in the fanny. Rev was Tommy's right-hand man. No, I never was that. No. I know Tommy, and I've met Tommy, and I've been around there, but I was never that. No. He has an inner circle. I think he probably still does. Then he has other people. Intermission music will do. I can tonight. Sarge, have you had a few beers, Sarge? Be honest. Say yes if you have. Does anybody fancy doing a tea break? Is all I'll say. Because if I can't get somebody else in here to cover this, I will need to go and have a sit down. That's all. Talk over, shout, you bloke. Here he is. He's back again. I will need to go and have a... Hello, sir.
Evening, Simon. Do you need the toilet?
Yes.
Well,
did you
why
have,
don't you
did
go
you
to
have
the
a topic of conversation you wish to talk about?
No.
Well, there you go. So that's not really going to work, is it? I mean, so the idea being is I would invite somebody on who would talk about a particular topic, which is why I was going to get Sarge on, whether he liked it or not, because he could then do Woman on a Mission. Sarge, I tell you what, we could always get Woman on a Mission to come and do it. Thing is, right, these people are YouTubers, so they can sit down for 10 minutes or 2 minutes, because it's going to take that, right, and then talk about a particular topic of conversation they particularly like, and then I can go for a piss. But no.
I think you should just go for a piss, and if anyone wants to ask me a question, they can do.
I'm trying to work out. They can't answer your question because they can't call in because you're calling. So that wouldn't work, would it?
Well, I think you should just go for a piss, and I'll just go blah 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 like that, and you go for.
No, it's all right. But look, thanks for the offer. I might actually, when I put the phone down to yourself, I have a feeling there'll be a couple of other numbers. Otherwise, I'll have to hold on to it. But anyway, thanks for giving me the option, me old China. Anyway, I'll jump off and I will speak to you soon. All right.
Okay, thank you.
No,
bye bye.
It's terribly kind. Blah 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 blah. No, it wouldn't work, would it? No. So anyway, right. What are we going to do? Crinkle to MC a while. Can you remember Crinkle? I have not seen Crinkle for some time. Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to do this, aren't we? We're going to have to put the music on. So bear with. Well, that wasn't too bad. What else we got on here?
Are you retarded?
Yeah, I probably am, yes. What?
You're bad.
Oh, thank you very much. So there we are. Right. Now, trans people dragged from Butlins toilets by security in act of unprovoked aggression. Could it be unprovoked aggression, or did the people see something they didn't like? Let's have a quick look at this. And why's he got Cliff Richard steps out with his new partner and stuns fans? What is that? His carer? I mean, fuck me. What's he got to be? About 700 years old now? So which Butlins was this? An incident allegedly saw trans folks dragged from a toilet at a music festival at Butlins, Skegness. I've been there. Yeah, it was fucking brilliant. I went there for the silent disco. I don't know if any of you have ever been to a silent disco. You have to go. It's brilliant. A group of trans people were dragged from a female toilet at a music festival being held at a Butlins venue on a weekend in what has been described as an obvious display of transphobia. So what we got is a bunch of fucking geezers, ugly cunts, pretending to be birds that have gone into the women's toilet so they might get a slight look at a woman's clam. Fuck off, you wrong'uns, right? And they've met up with some true old-fashioned northerners who've gone, fuck that shit, I ain't having these pervies in here, and battered them. I can't find fault, because at the end of the day, if you're a fucking degenerate that was born in one sex trying to go into another woman's fucking toilet, right? Or if you're a bloke trying to go into a woman's toilet, or you're a woman trying to go into men's toilets, you deserve what you fucking get. Now, women going into men's toilets, we used to get that a lot when I worked on the door, because they only had X amount of cubicles. And most of the time, the men were all stood up going for a pee. So the women would just come and go, don't mind us. And then 2 or 3 of them would dive into a cubicle, right? They'd all stay there where each one of them went for a pee. It's a woman thing. And then they'd come out and say, thanks very much, lads. And we were like, as long as you enjoyed yourself. It was wrong, but we didn't mind. But if we parted in their toilets, they'd have something to say about it. And that's right, but wrong. So we're getting ourselves into a whole kettle of fish here. But here's the thing. As a bloke, I don't want to go into a girl's toilet because I know where I am, what I am, where I should be, right? But there are people that want to push their delusions, their mental illness, their degeneracy on everybody else and hope that that person, i.e. you, me, or whoever, speaks out so they can then bully them, prosecute them, or ruin their lives. 20 years down the road, or less, these people that are trying this on will have been cast out of society. If they haven't taken their own lives because they're irrelevant now, bearing in mind the entire reason they did this is because they wanted some sort of relevancy because they're ugly, useless. Nobody liked them. The worst. Hated themselves. They went down this road where, for a short while, they thought they were a shining star. To us, they were all a black hole. All right. However, they had 10 minutes of what they consider to be important, and they'll never find it again. Imagine that one-hit wonder, but without degeneracy, right? So we used to have people that made a hit back in the 80s and that you've never heard of again. These people have desperately seek to get back to where they were. They failed. They've hit drugs. They've killed themselves. They've done whatever. What do you think is going to happen to these mentally ill people that had nothing to actually show in the first place and can't replicate it? They're going to be fucked. That's where we are. Anyway, I'm thinking we could always go to Discord. Right. Agreed, Simon. They are just in the moment. Toyota reversed. But Tommy supports LGBTQ in Israel. That's because Tommy is paid by the Middle East Forum. Can't do anything about that, can we? Which is also part of the reason of me feeling bad about standing on that stage, because I'm not Middle East Forum. Very much not Middle East Forum. Please excuse my degenerate humor. Oh, sorry. Was there banter going on in the chat? I'll stand back. Saturday Night Wakefield was a one-hit wonder. She was. And I remember when that came out, I detested the tune then. Tommy is controlled without a doubt. Yep. Here, bro. Yep. Here's the reason. I mean, for all my fucking flaws, and I have shitloads, by the way. Mental health, depression. 1 minute you're up, next minute you're down. 1 minute you want to do stuff, next minute you feel completely withdrawn. So I have my faults. I am not funded. I've had the option, and I started this thing because I believed in what I was saying, and that's not changed. But I was optioned along the way to make a lot of money if I wanted to go down a certain route. No, I didn't. And I look at, people have made a lot of money since then. They've become quite famous. Everybody pats them on the back and thinks they're really good, but they are controlled opposition. Do I want to become that? No. Did I ever? No. If somebody said to me now, Si, you could stop working and you could do this the entire time, and you could have within a year 500,000 subs, and within 2 years you could have maybe, I don't know, 1 million, whatever, and you could earn a lot of money. Would you do it if we only had one small clause that you have to cover what we say and you can never criticize Israel? If somebody said that to me, I'll say, I'll be skinned if that's all right, which I am. Now, it's not purely Israel that I dislike, because it isn't the people within Israel that I dislike. I don't like Netanyahu and his government. I don't like their policies. I also don't like the people they're fighting. So it's not I want one side to win or not. I don't like either side. Right? Let's make that clear. And that's where I am. So when I first came on the scene and people started to try and embrace me and start to try and deliver me in one direction, and then all of a sudden I would call out Israel and go, you're wrong. Or I would say the Holocaust. How does anybody know about the numbers? Because you keep changing the fucking numbers. It's not being a denier. You make your mind up and then we can pull apart your figures. With that, they went, oh, he's a anti-Semite. No, I'm not. I just don't give you lot a break like everybody else does. Right? Because you don't give everybody else a break. Why should I give you a break? At the end of the day, everybody should be susceptible to question without hesitation. Now, if you take one brand of people out of that equation because they need to be defended because of reasons, then you're persecuting them purely because you think they're weak. Now, if they don't want to be persecuted and they want to make laws up because they don't want to be persecuted, then you've got to look at that, haven't you? Anyway, does anybody think I'm wrong for saying that? Be interested. What are your reasons for not liking each side? Henry, haven't I just explained that? Well, when you look at, say, for instance, Israel, and they're part of the UN, and going back years along, they break up to 51 UN resolutions. Whereas if we did, which we have done, the UN would pull us all over the coals. Same if France did it and everybody else. But when Israel did it, they just said, tough, what are you going to do? And everybody just went, oh, don't want any trouble. I don't like their Samsung thing. I don't like that policy. I don't like the virus that they put out that fucked everybody up. Right, this is going to be very difficult because the guy is back calling now. Can't speak very well, so bear with. Right. Can you speak at all or not? No, it's not going to work, mate. Can't hear. It doesn't work. Right, the poor boy's had a bit of a problem, and he's like, you ain't going to hear it, so it's pointless. Simon, you should have a link. Hang on. Well, what's he say? Sorry. Simon, you should link for my coffee for people to fund you to cover your stream. No, I do this because I like it. This is therapy. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. This sounds absolutely reassuringly female.
It is. Well, most definitely, as long as you're allowed to identify as that these days.
Well, as long as you're generally a female, you can identify as a female. All right.
Yeah, no, yes, I've got a bit, well, a bit of a, not an odd question, but I was wondering whether when you're out on the road, have your conversations with general people changed? Because I've noticed that when I'm out and about, whoever I'm speaking to, the general tone in conversations seem to have changed recently. As in, have you got plans to go elsewhere? Have you decided to do something very quickly with any money that you've got? Have you got any plans like that? And it's really starting to worry me that so many friends and just others out and about are starting to have the same conversation. And I just wondered whether you were starting to experience the same sort of thing.
What I generally get is from people of my ilk, right, is they wake up and they go, right, we know. Yeah, we get it. Right? What you'll get from the left, who were virtue signaling fuckers who wanted this, they realize they've shit in their own hat. And now they're looking for somewhere else to go so that they can just literally, like little fairies, escape their problem, right? It's always as if you go to sleep, when you wake up in the morning, it won't be there, right?
No, exactly. It's like you wake up and it's like, well, what else have we lost now? What else is gone, or what else is about to be taken? I mean, we were lucky enough to go away on holiday to Tenerife. We came back this week, and it was really it was the most strange experience, because out there there were also other people, and you could hear it there, and they were saying, we voted reform, and I said, well, we did too, and it was just all around you. And people saying, we can't put up with this. They're just taking everything away. And it's just amazing how many people who are starting to get so worried about what we're all about to lose. And I just wondered whether you're experiencing that as well, because it can't just be us. It can't.
No, I'm experiencing a lot of people who are now talking openly and honestly, whereas they would have said nothing in the past. And some of them are to the point where they've gone from being pacifists, maybe liberals, all right, to right wing. But they're going down the road.
Whereas I think, sorry to interrupt, I think that at the end of the day, that reform is just like what the Conservative Party used to be back in the 80s, if I'm being honest.
Well, I think some of these people are going to go too far. And these are the people that would have been middle of the road at one point, right? Now at the moment, we've got Henry in here, which is left wing, right? Extreme left wing, but he's left wing, not the same, right? And he would have been worried about the rise of the far right. What you have to understand is it's not the far right.
No.
Right. And I don't want people to all of a sudden just decide that they blanketly don't like a certain creed or a certain culture. No,
that's the whole point. I mean, my entire family have always voted Conservative, always. And all of a sudden it's like there's been a change. We just feel like everything just seems to have shifted, and it's worrying. It's really worrying.
I don't think that Labour or Conservative, all they do is they play each side off against each other, and this goes on in a circle, right? It never gets any better, and each side blame each other. And while we're blaming each other, laws are enacted and whatever it is to keep us in our place, right? Now, Crinkle, if you're listening to this, do you believe that we are held in our place by government? Right? That's all I'm asking, and we'll see what he says, right? Because I do like it when Crinkle is sober and not on the pipe, but we've got free Palestine at the moment, so I think he might be trying to trigger the comments, which is good. Crack on, Crinkle. We do love you. But we're getting to the point where I think the left and the right, and I was sat in a pub earlier on, and I said to him, I said, are we at that stage yet when we realize that the left and the right and all the rest of it is not important anymore? It's just common sense. Do you have common sense or do you not have common sense? And that's it. What does in our place mean? Sorry, can't be.
Well, it means that you are stationary, aren't you? Nobody wants you to move up the ladder.
I don't know if he's answering me or somebody else in the text. This is the problem. What does in our place mean? Right. If you're talking to me, they want to keep us as blue collar workers that are very low education, that know enough to do the job, but no more. Don't question the scene. Don't question what's going on. Don't have any opinions, and just are useful feeders, tax paying, labor providing types.
Not quite so sure about that, but I just think that in your place, as far as how much you ought to earn for the job that you're doing, or where you can actually get to, that might be more the analogy to use.
If you're kept down and you can't rise above, they call that a glass ceiling, don't they? But
of course they do.
In many cases, the wages, from what I can gather, we used to have more, but we don't now. Now you can blame that on all sorts of stuff. You are free to educate yourself and move up the ladder. Excellent. How's that working out, Crinkle? How's that working out for you, mate? What I would suggest is that, yes, a few people do make it up. Not many do, right?
No.
Yes. So I remember.
No, I mean, I was just going to say that. I mean, essentially, we're all right. We're not rich. We're not absolutely at the bottom. We are somewhere in the middle. And I'm finding lots of people just like us who are. I'm starting to hear mutterings more and more, if that makes sense.
Disgruntled mutterings.
Have you got plans to, have you got a backup plan? That's the one I'm hearing all the time. Have you got a backup plan? And I'll be dead honest with you, I do not want to move from here. This is my home, and this is where I was born, and my family, and we've lived here for hundreds and hundreds of years, and I can trace it back goodness knows how long. I don't want to go, but I just feel that the pressure is on, and we are almost retreating. I've watched my family retreating for the last 100 years or so. That's the whole point.
But even if you had all the money in the world, where would you want to go? Because this is not
nowhere. That's the whole point. No, I would simply move further west, back towards Hereford, I suppose.
So, try to work out where you are then. Were you Gloucester?
No, Worcestershire.
All right, nearly all right.
No, don't you dare!
No,
don't you dare!
Yes, close to it. Yeah.
Definitely not.
Oh.
No, we're a good 17 miles away, so thank you very much.
Yeah, but when you get upset, you say Brummy then, didn't you?
I could do a Brummy accent if I needed to.
My kiddie. Right.
Oh dear. But yeah,
right.
no, we're Worcester. Yeah, I was going to say we're Worcestershire, but my family sort of over generations came from more from Wales into Herefordshire, and then moved because of lack of jobs towards Birmingham, and then have quite quickly over the last few generations moved. They've retreated back out.
Can I ask you a question?
I think that they go on.
On the border, right? So you've got Wales one side, you've got Gloucestershire the other side. Have you noticed that them on the border, them in Wales sound like they're from Gloucestershire, and them from the other side, Gloucestershire sound like they're from Wales? And I'm like, what the fuck? What's that about?
I have got no idea at all. Don't know, but I don't sound like any of them because I'm from Worcestershire.
Yeah, you do sound Midlands, girl, a little bit.
I am, most definitely, yeah. But at least I'm Worcestershire. I'm definitely not West Midlands. I'm not Birmingham, so don't tar me with that one.
No,
although I've got many friends who are from over that way. But yeah, no, just starting to hear mutterings.
Yeah,
all around.
Well,
wherever we go.
I'm hearing, like, at the beginning when we were doing this, like, where are you going to go? What's the get out? Where's the best place to go? Everybody talks about
that. We've talked about, my husband has talked about, and we have got friends, several of, we've got family who are in Canada and have been there, to be fair, since the 80s. We've got family who have we've got friends, lots of, who have moved out over the years to both New Zealand and to Australia. But I don't want to go.
Can I give you a time scale where you are at the moment, right? So
probably about your age.
No, I'm not talking about ages. I'm talking about where you are on the waking up scale. All right.
On the what? Sorry.
The waking up, the coming to realization, the going down, the looking into stuff route, and all the rest of it, right? We were all looking at a place to go probably about 4 years ago, right? Which means you're 4 years behind some,
Yeah.
but you're probably
Everybody else.
No,
Yeah.
no. You're 4 years behind some, but you're probably 3 years ahead of others. All right. Now,
Right.
now
Yeah.
what's going to do your nut in, right, is as you wake up more and you learn more and you do your own studying, then you'll find other people who come into this a lot later than you. They'll start talking about the stuff you were talking about 4 or 5 years ago. They will do your nutting, and then you've got to be patient because you know AI Simon is more charismatic than Simon Sideways. Is that your little AI there, Henry? Bless you. Anyway, Henry decided to spend a lot of money and get an AI thing that copied me. And he probably got the most views. Well, he got the most views. So well done, Henry. But yeah, no, we all wake up at different times, right?
Yeah.
And if you got somebody who's talking stuff that you knew 4 years ago, listen to them because somebody listened to you and helped you. So it's all of our jobs to help everybody else along. But yeah,
to be honest with you, Simon, we're not going to go. I don't want to go anywhere. We recently lost my dad very, very suddenly. And now mum's on her own. I don't think we're going to go anywhere because she's at that age now. She's nearly 80. And so we won't be going anywhere in the near future. It's just there in the back of our minds that, you know, the kids are now in their 20s. And if we really needed to, we would. But I don't want to because this is my home. I don't want to go anywhere. Say again.
Nor should you have to, but there is a point where maybe there are places that you don't want to be. There's better places to be in the UK.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, we've got family all over, sort of between sort of Worcestershire and Herefordshire, and they've got lovely places where they live as well. But we live in a nice place. I'm just very, very conscious of the fact that things are changing quite visibly and very quickly. Over the last sort of 5 years, things have changed quite a lot. And it does concern you because even though we live right on the peripheries and by woods and lakes and all that sort of stuff, and it is lovely, don't get me wrong, it is super duper. You are watching, if you go into town, things have changed. Lots and lots of things have changed. You know, shops have shut up. There are, you know, lots and lots of sort of blacked out windows, and where used to be nice shops like Debenhams and well, you know, lots of other places, they've gone. They've all gone.
Now I'm going to ask something, and I need your opinion and everybody else's, by the way. And this might upset Henry, right? Now Henry's saying that the third world would love to have what we've got, but of course it would. Now, the third world is trying to come in here and take what we've got. Now, most of us would rather the third world stay where it was as the third world and didn't get anything that we had and fuck off. We don't want you here. And no, we don't want to give you what we've got. Why? Because we know you don't have the ability to use it properly. You'll squander it. You'll fuck it up. You'll take it from us. You'll ruin our lives and you'll ruin everything around us. That's why we left you in the third world and why we don't want you here. That's where I stand. If anybody else stands with me, put one on the comments.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I mean, I look at it in that why is it that the West is so reverently looked upon? It's because we did it ourselves and everybody else wants a piece of that. And I don't mind that at all, as long as you can also give something to that system. What I don't want is people coming here expecting something of the system which they have never ever, through either themselves or previous generations, ever given into. You know, I look at my family and my God, they've worked hard over hundreds of years in order to help to build this country up, and it's just changing, as I say, before my eyes. And I found it very sad, and I find it uncomfortable, and it is very uncomfortable to talk about. But if nobody talks about it, then you can't get your voice out there. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that was the whole point of people like me starting up a YouTube channel to see if it would work, and then we got a voice, and there's been many of us tried to be like shut down. But the more I talk, the more normal people like yourselves come on and just say, Yeah, I actually feel
Yeah.
the same.
But this is the whole point, in that I only think that the jealousy is out there from the left, because we actually have made a legacy which we've left for our children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, and they, you know, and so that's why we've become almost
the left
a
hate-
country, or the West has become a place of envy, and they're
Yeah.
letting other people in.
They hate our history and they want
But
to
also,
destroy it.
yes, they do. Yes, they're trying to do us down, whilst at the
Mhm.
same point trying to allow other people to come in to have a slice of the cake, which they haven't actually
They want to look good and
made a part
charitable
of.
while they destroy everything that they couldn't achieve that they would have. And also, they're like, "Oh, you did slavery, you did this, you did that." Who
Yeah,
fucking
but
cares?
tell me.
Who cares?
Well, the other
I
thing
don't
is,
fucking care.
what? Please point to me. Right, I've got a globe right in front of me, and I'm telling you now, it was made in the 1950s, and I'm looking at that globe, and I would like somebody to tell me how to spin that globe and point to a single part upon it where nobody was enslaved at some point. And yet I feel that we are held to such high standards,
Well, no,
which other
when
countries
they're trying
are
to
not
destroy
held to.
you, they want to point out your bad stuff. I don't have a problem
Mm.
with slavery, what happened in the past, because I wasn't there.
Mm.
Right? So many people
Exactly.
did it. I have
Same,
no interest.
same.
Right?
No.
Here's the thing: I wouldn't do slavery now, right?
No.
And nor would the rest of the world. We've all grown up.
Absolutely.
You are not punishing
and we
me for
wouldn't put
something
little
that my
boys up chimneys either.
You're not going to punish me for my ancestors, what they did,
No.
because at the end of the day, I'm not going to punish black people for their ancestors being a bunch of savages.
No.
Right? Here's how it is, right? At the end of the day, I'm also realistic to believe that not everybody is the same. We are not the same, because if we were
No,
the
we're
same,
not.
right, we'd have gone over to Africa and found that they had ornate buildings and ornate this and ornate that, and they were decadent and all the other things. No, they weren't. Unfortunately, they were still struggling because they are what they are. All right.
Mm.
Hang on a second. I've got
Well,
fascism
we're
is
all
a cult
different,
of the
that's all.
leader who promises national restoration in the face of supposed humiliation by immigrants. Hang on a second. He's quoting that by something that was written years ago by immigration, leftist, liberals, minorities. No, I think you just reworded that by what they said. That they said that Hitler came about, by the way, because his entire country was so fucked up that it took a man to promise the restoration of nationalism, people's rights, the indigenous people put forward first, and to put aside or to put down any of these bad states or bad things that were happening within that country. And what they've just done is regurgitate that. Now, show me a country that hasn't done that, Cranks.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
Because it
that
happens,
was the point I was trying to say.
it happens
Show
all-
me somewhere which hasn't done anything like this.
Exactly, because it happens regularly in the third world. I mean,
Of course
they
it does.
brutally slaughter each other, but nobody cares a fuck about that, because as long as it's got nothing to do with the white
No.
people, it's just cultural. When a white man has
That's
anything
it.
to do with it, that's terrible. Now, there are a
Yeah.
lot of people that are ashamed of being white, right? Many of them. If you go
I'm
through
not.
Bristol or London or wherever, I couldn't be any more proud of being white, because it is the
Mhm.
best thing to be. Why? Because it seems that these white people have managed to spread so much great around the world. And without us,
I think, to
and
be honest,
penicillin
I
and
think that
buildings,
most people are quite proud of what colour they are, and I'm not particularly bothered about that. But I am very proud of being English. I'm very proud of being and you know, when you go on your passport and you have to refill it in, and you've not got an option for white English, and then you're allowed, you've got like an other. We actually write it in. Me and my husband and the kids, we just write in white English, because you don't have that option. And I find that really, really sad. So you've got on there white Scottish, you've got on there white Welsh. There's loads of other options, but basically there isn't an English option, and I think that's really sad. So we just write it in.
yeah, and
Um,
they'll get really choppy about that, by the way.
no, they don't. Well, we've never had a problem over, you know. But goodness
So-
knows how many
So
years.
I've just been quoted that there's a certain group of people that are fascists. I need to read what a fascist is, and that's by the modern day.
Please do. I know. Yes, right. Yes. Go on.
Let's have a look. Fascist. What is a fascist? Definition. There we go. Right. What constitutes a definition of fascism? This is interesting. A fascist government has been a complicated and highly disputed subject, concerns the innate nature of fascism and its core tenets, debated amongst historians, politicians, scientists, and other scholars amongst since Benito Mussolini. Now, he was, as we've always been pointing out, the number one de facto fascist. First used by the term in 1915, historian gives the name, once wrote blah, blah, blah. This is not getting to the point of it, right? A significant number of scholars agree that a fascist regime, a former and authoritarian form of government, right? Think about that. Authoritarian form of government. What have we got at the moment? Doesn't matter whether it's Labour, doesn't matter whether it's Conservative, they are authoritarian, right? However, the general academic consensus also holds that not all authoritarian regimes are fascist. What's that? The ones that are supplied or funded by a certain bunch of woods, right? And more disgusting traits are required in order for a regime to be characterized as such. Interesting. Similarly, fascism as an ideology is also hard to define. So the only people that can define it are the ones that are
I think that that definition, I think, has changed over time. I mean, fascism was always thought of as where you only put your nation first, and that there was a hierarchy within that, and that no one else was welcome. And so that's why I worry when I hear that people who are worried about what's happening to Great Britain and the United Kingdom in general are being called fascists, because that's not true.
Well, I'm still trying to. I'm still
It,
trying to work out what the problem is about putting your fucking nation first.
absolutely, no, that's my whole point. I think that we should not to penalise others, but to actually put ourselves first.
No, I don't have any problem putting my nation first. Not at all.
No.
And
No.
but I don't want to do things that would be detrimental to others, in so much as for our existence.
No, but
Right.
it's like, you know, I mean, but my both of my grandfathers fought and were yes, to their detriment in the Second World War, and my great grandfathers fought in the First World War. And my word, I honestly do think they'd be turning, and my grandmothers, my word, they did their bit for the cause. And I think they'd be turning in their graves now if they could see what we'd actually become. And I find it incredibly sad, really, really sad, that what we had back in the 70s and the 80s, you know, I remind my
I think
children
there was a level of innocence
quite
as well
often.
for us. Wasn't
I
there?
think so, but I think there was a level of happiness.
Mhm.
There was an overall sense of happiness that there was no more war. There weren't things to worry about on that level. Rationing had gone. My parents remember rationing. They still had ration books, but by the time we were born, those were a thing of the past.
But we weren't expected to expect much. I mean, you know, if you were fed,
no, we weren't. No,
and you could,
no.
your wages got through the week, right, and you maybe had a couple of bob by, right, to maybe look towards, I don't know, whatever it was you want to do, you were doing all right. As long as you could meet up with your friends, have fun, listen to the music, I don't know, whatever it was you went out and did a dance on a Saturday night or whatever it was, right? Pub Friday night, maybe even Sunday, whatever, and then back to work. You were considered, you know, as long as you had warmth.
Yeah, you were happy.
You were right.
You know,
anything
you saved up for your deposit on your house, and you cracked on with things. Simple as that. Well, I'll be dead honest with you. My kids, they're really worried about ever being able to get on that bottom rung of the housing ladder, and I worry for them. And I just think that's really, really sad, because I'm watching as the next generation have not got what we had. They just haven't.
Nope.
And, you know, my eldest son, he's absolutely busting a gut. He's just bought, well, it's not a new car, but he's just bought a car. He had one stolen 2 years ago, and it's taken him 2 years to be able to save up for another one. And you know, but he said to me the other week, he said, "Mum, am I ever going to be able to get on the housing ladder?" And I said, "Love, you will, but it's not." I mean, it's like, but by the time I was his age, I'd already owned a house for a year. I mean, with a mortgage, obviously, but you know, I was already carrying in by then.
Mm-hmm.
And you think, crikey Moses, things have changed, because if he can't get a house, then he's stuck with living at home. Therefore, you're in sort of like an endless sort of, well, downward spiral of, if you haven't got your own home with your own wife, how do you then go on to have children? Because you don't want to live with mum and dad and have children. And it's like one of these ever decreasing circles.
More,
And you just, I'm watching it play out full time.
I always wondered how
And
those
I
couples
find it
in the
really sad.
past that live with mum and dad had kids. I mean, how do you get, you know,
I don't know.
what was it? We're off down to bingo. Great.
Yeah, no, that's it, absolutely. But yeah, no, it's one of those things where I'm watching my friends' children in the same place, and you know, hardly any of them have managed to save up a deposit for their own home. Everybody's still living at home, and I'm thinking, crikey Moses, me and the people of my age, we had all got our own, even though they weren't anything massive, we'd all got our own places to live by then. And
I've never had one
started
myself.
out.
I mean, I got the chance when I was younger, but I took advice not to get the place because apparently this was too much or that was too much, and
Right.
next year it doubled in price. So I took the wrong advice. But
Yeah.
never mind.
That's the thing, isn't it? You know, you look back and you think, well, that might not have been the right advice. But you know, I mean, we've tried to advise the kids as well as we can, and we're seeing them struggle though, because things have changed. That's all. There's not enough houses out there, but at the same time, this sounds ironic. I do not want our green belt to be built upon. I don't. I don't want our green fields built upon. We're surrounded by them.
They've
and
actually
we've had
admitted now
three.
that it is what they're bringing into the country that's causing lack of housing, and this is both governments have done this, and we're like, so everybody you've brought in to the country is under threat.
But everybody can see what the problem is, and they just don't want to admit it. Everybody else on the street can see it.
Everybody's been bullied into, like people like Crinkle saying that you're a racist. Crinkle, I'm happy for you to call me a racist, an anti-Semite, or any other thing because
or a xenophobe.
I know that you're saying it purely, not that you mean it, and you know it's not true, but you're trying to do it to shut me up. And at which point, I know when I look into my soul that I'm none of these things. At that point, when you call me it, I know I've tickled you, and that warms my heart.
Yeah.
Right now. And going forward, many people haven't found the strength to talk out. And it does take strength, by the way. So many people think they're hard because they can have a scrap. But these are the same people that stood up in queues waiting to get jabbed, and they had their masks on because they didn't want to stand out. That's not strength. Right? So many people want to be accepted by the rest of the people, so much so. These are the people that, you know, keep up with the Joneses, right? Now, this was the thing that went on.
Yes.
And this got us to buy and work, right? It was very clever, right? But the same people who were trying to keep up with the Joneses want to be accepted by the Joneses. Otherwise, they fail, right? So down a road like this, these people want to stand out. They want to shine. They want to be looked up at, right? This is the closest thing they're going to get to being famous, right? Which is they adore, right?
Yes.
So if they were to go, this is completely wrong, I don't stand for it. They know that everything they've ever worked for would be taken from them. That's unacceptable for them, right? And these people will fight for that perceived position in society until it's untenable. These are the people
Yeah,
that told us to put
I
our
agree.
mask on.
I agree completely. Yes. I also think that has become more and more common.
Mhm.
And I think that it's just as common now as it was back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. In that people look around at their neighbours and want to not fall by the wayside. I mean, we're sort of quite lucky in the sense that you know, we live with some marvellous neighbours. They're absolutely super. They really, really are. But yeah, as I say, we are surrounded by greenbelt land, and we've watched over the last 5 years as we've now got one. I'm just trying to think in my head. 1, 2, 3. There's 4, 5, 6 new housing developments, all happening within a 6-mile radius of us. And they're popping up everywhere. And that used to be our farming land. Now in Worcestershire, we are renowned as being, you know, we are part of the growers of, you know, just like in Gloucester, just like in Hereford, you know, we grow crops. That's what we do. And they're all disappearing, and they're being used because the government put you know, they literally put a levy on it, and you must use X amount of your land in order to create new housing. But the houses look rubbish. I'm sorry, they look like really posh square boxes, right? I wouldn't want to live there if you paid me, if I'm being honest. You know, when you know that the walls are going to be, you know, paper thin, and they're not going to be built well. But they're not houses which are going to first time buyers, right? These houses, all of them, are going to be people who are at least 3 rungs up the ladder. And so therefore you're thinking, right, okay, what's that there for? Freeing up. Where are the people who actually want to get on to the bottom of the housing ladder? Where are they going to go? And I've got no massive answer for that. At the same time, this is why I'm thinking ahead. So, as in, I want to stay here. I don't want to move away. I've got family here of, you know, my mum, my husband's mum and dad. We've got kids, that sort of thing. And so I don't want to actually go anywhere. This was in desperation that I'm starting to think of a plan B.
Can I interrupt for a split second? I've just noticed there's something new called Touch Up My Appearance. Let's get rid of that. Let's get those wrinkles back. That's better. That's me.
Hey, I tell you what, I'm covered in wrinkles. I was
thinking, what the fuck is it? Why? Where have all these wrinkles gone? All right, I mean, double chin, right?
Does it look like you've just gone for Botox?
Oh, mate, it just looks like I've aged 40 years, but I'm happy again because that's me, right? No, it was like, it's Touch Up My Appearance.
That's funny.
I went look and I was like, there's something fucking wrong here. It looks like I've got some fucking filter on.
No, that's really funny. No, you've made me laugh. That's really funny. But yeah, no, I mean, essentially, I think that there's a bit of a 2-pronged attack going on here. Not only is there, you know, the kids can't get on the housing ladder, but then you attack the other end, as in their grandparents are starting to pass on.
Yeah.
But you then want to take their money. Now, as my parents always said, and my husband's parents always said, you know, you have children, so as you can pass on your, well, you don't do it like that. That's the wrong way to phrase it. But when you've got children, everything that you've aspired to and everything that you've managed to earn, and let's face it, we pay tax on everything in every way, shape and form, whether it be on work, cars, fuel, anything that you bloody well buy, and you've already paid that tax and VAT and more, and they want to take that away as well. Oh, I can see that. That's very rude. Very rude. I like it.
No, I fucking all these people go and fucking put the fucking thing back. Oh my god, the horror! I'm like, yeah, there we are.
Oh bless! I tell you what, it's good job they can't see me. But no, it's like it is a 2-pronged attack. You know, the kids are being attacked because they can't get on the housing ladder, and then trying to take away what the grandparents can pass on to the parents and what you want to then pass on to your kids. I find it horrific, if I'm being honest with you. I think it's actually really quite cruel. And the sooner that more people go on.
how well did you know your grandparents? I mean, how long were they around? Before?
Very.
Right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, very. Yes. Yeah. So my
Now.
my one nan, she actually passed away very suddenly of a heart attack at 78, and that was back in 1992, or was it 91? I was trying to think. 92 that was, and she was taken very suddenly. That was dreadful. And then my other granddad, he managed to go till 87, but my next granddad went till 96, and my grandma, my other grandma, was 99. And so the children who were in their 20s also knew them as their great grandparents, and so they've still got massive memories of them, which I think they're very lucky to have.
So on the plus side, we're going to be seeing Christmas cards and birthday cards go in your direction for
Yes.
many years. Right. Good.
Yeah.
However, right now, something I hear people say, and I've said in the past, is if my grandparents were alive now, they'd never let this shit happen. You've heard that, right?
No, they wouldn't have done. No, they wouldn't.
That's a lie. Do you know why? And this is not against our grandparents, by the way. Our grandparents were basically forged into believing that the Great War was a good idea, that the Second War was a good idea, right? That defending our country and our king or queen against anything was what we had to do. And we had to hold our king and queen above everything and our country. And what this did was made us pliable, malleable little people that would go out and fight for whatever whim our king or queen or country came up with, right? Now, they also didn't know anything else but the media that was given to them, right? Now, nowadays, what we've been, right, and Dafter, if you're still watching this, you put something about, and if you can put it back again in the general chat, that'd be great. The difference between the guy who came up with 1984 and the other guy.
What, George Orwell?
That was Orwell against something. And if he's there, hopefully he'll post it in there, because I would read it out now because it's really poignant. But basically, Orwell was worried about our freedom of speech being taken away and our ability to be able to talk to each other and report on stuff, right? The other guy's worry was that we were going to have Huxley, that was it, Audacious Huxley.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, Huxley's worry was that we were going to have the platform, whatever it was, we'll call it the internet now, flooded with information. So that we had so much information that we became, I think it's apathetic. Is that the right word to it? So that
yes, possibly, and also confused by the sheer amount.
Yeah, and overwhelmed to the point that we just didn't do anything, right? So it's almost like kill from starvation. Thanks, Daft. Right, I'm going to read that now. Right, it's like kill from starvation or kill from gluttony, but the same thing, right? So I'm going to read this to you. And I might pull this over here and do this over here, right? And by the way, I haven't got glasses. Orwell feared where those who would ban books, what Huxley feared was those who would be no reason to ban a book. For there would be no, I really should get closer. There would be no one who wanted to read one. Orwell feared those who would deprive us of information. Huxley feared those who would give us so much that we would be reduced to passivity and egoism, I believe. Orwell feared that the truth would be concealed from us. Huxley feared the truth would be drowned in a sea of irrelevance. Now, I believe that that is more worrying than what Orwell was fearing. Orwell feared we would become a captive culture. Huxley feared we would become a trivial culture in, and next thing was 1984. People are controlled by inflicting pain and a brave new world, and are controlled by inflicting pleasure. In short, Orwell feared that what we have, or no, sorry, what we hate would ruin us. Huxley feared that what we love will ruin us, and both are true.
Yep.
But here's the thing: what we seem to have at the moment is
Both.
two main parties fighting against each other. One will be Orwellian, the other will be Huxley. I would suggest that the right are worried about Orwellian problems, and the left are fueled by wanting Huxley problems, right? When I go on a dating site now and I look at women, you can see them now a mile off, right? The divide is quite strong. When you see you'll see a woman who's had enough. She's dated numerous times, right? And she's beaten by the system. What she wanted was what she was brought up to believe, and she hasn't found it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or she's been through one long relationship, and now there's a string of other wankers who all they want to do is just rinse her out. And what she's actually looking for is a decent guy. And in between that, she's become tainted against men because men are dogs, right? Not all, but some.
And I feel very sorry for those people, because somewhere along the line, something went incredibly wrong. And it's very, very sad, because I just think that most women, I mean, maybe well, I don't think I am unusual, because I would literally put myself in I'm just your normal person who literally grew up, knew that I wanted to get married, have children, have a career, but not, the career wasn't going to take charge, look after my family, and that's what I wanted, and I've been really lucky, and that's what I've had.
Can I be?
And I know that so many. Go on.
Can I be really rude and ask what year you finished secondary?
Right, I finished sixth form in 1993.
So
So I'm going to be 50 in 4 weeks' time.
Fuck, I was going to say you're about my age.
Yeah, that's why, when we first began this call, and I said I think I'm about your age.
Yeah, no, yeah, you are. What we had, even at school then, is we had teachers telling girls that they don't have to be wives. They can go on and have great lives of their own, right? We did, but I think that I was really lucky in that I went to a really good school, and yes, we had teachers who did say, you don't have to do this and you don't have to do that. But I was surrounded by my cohorts and my family and other people's families who did go down the normal traditional route, because that's what their families had done. And I'm so lucky to have had that and to have gone down that route. Somebody's saying you've asked her age. Go and ask her how much she weighs. No,
I don't. Go on then. I'll tell you exactly how much I weigh.
Go on then.
7 stone 7.
Fuck me, I've known paperweights weigh more than you, girl.
Don't. My husband is 6'6", and he always laughs because I'm so tiny.
Hang on a second. 6'6", and if he must be 13 to 17 stone, right? Somewhere between there, right?
Yeah.
And you're how much?
I'm 7 stone 7, and I'm just under 5'2".
You must be the most loving toothpick I've ever met, right? Honestly, there's nothing of you. The poor boy. I bet, because he loves you dearly, I bet he's real gentle, right? He's like, I don't want to crush her. I love her dearly. You know what I mean? How do you deal with that, right? And this is one of the things as a bloke.
Do you know, I'll tell you what makes me laugh, right? When we're walking through a town or a village where there's a shop and you've got a glass window, and I catch our reflection, and I think, my God, I look like some sort of pygmy compared to him. But he's 1 inch short of a giant, because you've got to be 6'7" to be a giant.
Is it?
But yeah, so I'm 5'2", but my mother is 4'9", so at least we've grown over the generations. That's all I can say.
Right? You're all, as far as I'm concerned, right, you're all the same height in bed, and as long as you love each other and you wake up giving each other a cuddle or a beating or whatever it is, right? Because you know what I mean. Love comes in many forms, doesn't it? Between the argument and the happiness and the making up and all the other bits in between.
No, absolutely, definitely not. I can disagree there. In all these years, I think we've had one cross, and I couldn't even call it an argument. Maybe it was an argument, but we've only ever had one cross conversation. we don't do that.
You lot are in
We're
tune,
just-
and which is lovely, by the way. But I was going to go back to the dating thing and tell you about these women, right? Because there's two
Yeah,
types.
go on then.
right? Yeah, so you
Yeah,
get,
go on then.
You get the left wing modern. I want to travel the world. I need
Oh,
somebody to
God.
come with me. Basically, that means somebody to help me with the cost, right? And they want to do skiing. They want to do water skiing. They want to do all these different things. And then some of them are saying that I don't want a man with kids. Oh, some of them are saying I haven't had kids, don't want kids. Some of them are saying I've had kids, don't want kids.
Okay.
All right, fine, get it. And I'd sooner
Okay.
date a woman that's had kids than not had kids if it was a
Well
choice.
done, you. Do you know what? I think that's absolutely the best way to go, because then you've got somebody who has already known how to care for other people.
It's one of these things that if somebody doesn't want to have kids, I'm worried, right? What is in your mind? What are you thinking, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I would say that if you've never wanted, excuse me, if you've never wanted to have children, then it's all about self. Now, in
Yes,
which case,
and which
a
worries me.
relationship isn't going to, yeah.
So I'm like, you know, the ones that said, yeah, I don't want kids and I don't want you to have kids. I'm like, yeah, bye. But you can see there's many of them that have got this certain look about them. You know, the one they've cut chunks out of their fringe, or they're shaved up the
do.
sides, or the different colors, or they
Yes.
piercings all
Or
over
different colours of hair.
them. Or worse still, they're trying to be a model in every one of their pictures. I fucking detest that. What I want to see is a woman with a bit of cellulite, right? There's got a few wrinkles that can smile.
Yeah, there's plenty of wrinkles on me. My husband doesn't mind.
Right. Somebody who can smile with all the wrinkles going, right? And you look at them, right? And you think, because also we're all going to get old, aren't we? Right. And we'll become less attractive as time goes on, right?
Yes.
But if you find somebody that's basically really attractive, that ticks all your boxes, and then you talk to them and they've got no personality, for me, that's finished. And I really don't fancy him.
Yes.
Right.
No.
However, if you see somebody who's not usually your type, but you get talking to them and they're fucking lovely, all of a sudden you fancy them because you fancy their personality. And that's something I understand more getting older than I did when I was younger.
Yeah. Yeah. Because your goals change in that sense, I think. I've watched friends who've got divorced and their goals have changed. And, you know, they start to look deeper than just looks, which, you know, what can you do when you get older? Everybody's looks change, don't they? But, you know, sense of humor is, I think, and banter, and being able to, I think me and my husband have lived all these years on, I think that we take the mick out of each other mercilessly pretty much every day, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, Crinkle's already said that
you
you're
know,
a better breadwinner than me. All right, there you go. So Crinkle really likes you.
Oh, crikey Moses.
There you go. It's one of those things. So you look at the data and you feel sorry for these people, because you think when you come down to reality, you're going to feel really bitter that you've been lied to, that you were brought into this trap. And I also feel sorry.
Can I just say that my mum, and as I said to you earlier, we lost Dad very suddenly. He had a fall and he went through sepsis. He got sepsis. He was gone. That was it.
Do you mind me asking how long it took between falling and sepsis?
5 days. He had a really big fall, and he had a massive cut. And that was in hospital. Yeah, so that was really sudden. So basically, he went into hospital. They wanted to do some tests to see if he'd got dementia, which we believed he was starting to go down that route. And whilst he was in hospital, he actually had several falls because he kept trying to go to the toilet. I know this sounds a dreadful subject, but he tried getting out of bed on his own because he was very stubborn. And he had a big fall and he cut himself quite dreadfully. And basically he contracted sepsis. And despite chucking loads and loads of antibiotics his way, he was gone very quickly. It was very, very sudden. But that apart, what I was going to say is that I've watched so my parents so incredibly happy and my husband's parents and so many people's parents who are of my age and yours, so very happy with their lot and everything which they set out to do. And I just think there are so many now obstacles, and there are so many things put in the way now of trying to achieve what your parents or grandparents were able to achieve, but through happiness. And I just find that very, very sad. And I've watched as many people of my age who, and my mum keeps remarking on this, and she's nearly 80, how many people of her age have had, like her, they've had 2, 3, 4 children, and yet have maybe only had 1 grandchild or 2 grandchildren, who have then gone on not to have any great grandchildren at all. And my mum feels so incredibly lucky to have had her children, have had 4 grandchildren. She's got 2 great grandchildren, and let's see where that goes. And she looks around as other people who are of her cohort who say how lucky that she is. And she'd never thought about it before. And I found that quite sad, because, you know, what's the point of us being here if you don't go on to be happy and essentially have a lovely relationship and reproduce and get to pass on your knowledge and your happiness and everything which you've achieved onto the next generation. Otherwise than that, it's
So-
just really sad, I think.
How many arguments do you reckon our grandparents had as couples, right, against what we would have now today? And what do you think those arguments, the difference would have been? Because I'm guessing the difference back in the old days were, can we pay this, right? And do we have enough food for this? And
Yes.
pretty much, are the kids?
Right.
Are
Do you want to
the
know?
kids
Do you know?
clothed?
Do you want to know what my one nan used to say? Right. This is my mum's mum, and she always used to say, at the end of the day, at the end of the week, you've got what you've saved up, and you don't buy with your money loads of rubbish. You don't buy the dross, is what she used to say.
Mhm.
You save up your money, and even if you can only afford a small amount of meat, you make sure it's the best you can get. If you can get a bit of fillet steak, but that's all you can get for the rest of the week, and that's what you have. You don't go and buy the dross. And I think that was probably one of the most marvelous lessons that could have been passed on to anybody. And that makes me sound really old-fashioned now, but I don't care, to be honest with you. You know, I think that our children have been brought up, or not so much ours, but brought up with thinking that everything is just free. Or you can just go onto Amazon, or you can just go onto X, Y, and Z.
I don't know if you
and
worked
just go
out
and
that people have come
tap
in
your
here to
thing on.
hear your attitude. That's like my attitude.
Oh,
It's similar
no.
to yours. So
That's
people
really
are-
embarrassing.
well, no, people have come in here to hear this. This is what they want, right? By the way, Henry, who is Jar? I don't know who Jar is, by the way. He's listening, and Jar has already a few things wrong with freaks and arseholes. I don't know who Jar is, mate. So sorry, can't help you, mate. Our generation, right, are stuck between our grandparents and our parents, because you looked up at your mum and dad.
Aren't we called the lost generation?
Are we Generation X?
Yes, we are. And if you look it up, which it was only because somebody had said something to me a couple of years ago, that apparently we're the lost generation, in that we meant nothing. We were sort of the generation of the next generation, and nothing happened. And so therefore we sort of became the nothing generation. Whereas I think we've actually got a huge amount to offer myself. But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Well, we should say we have a lot to offer, but when you get say, for instance, my daughter, I have to explain to her about things that we haven't had and things we have had, and she finds it interesting. And yeah, I believe we have a lot in information to offer, but there's many that would rather you didn't.
Yeah. It's I mean, I really, really enjoy the fact, and I'm really glad that my brother does the same with his kids. And do you know what? This will make you laugh. Do you remember things like Dukes of Hazzard,
Yep,
Blue Thunder,
Yep.
Manimal,
Airwolf.
things like Airwolf. Oh yes, used to love that.
A-Team,
Night Rider, A-Team, The Fall Guy.
Yep.
And the amount of times that they've said, "Why were your things better than ours?"
Because they weren't
you think-
limited by how they offended people.
No. And so if you watch things like, they wouldn't be able to make a Lower Low anymore. They wouldn't be able to make things like Faulty Towers anymore. They wouldn't be able to make things like, oh gosh, even Benidorm now, even though that was put on after the 9 o'clock news because it was, you know, contained swear words. Because these days, I think that everybody and his dog would call it, well, not our dogs, but everybody would call it offensive. Somebody would call it offensive. And so therefore it would be taken off air. And yet you look at, you know, when you look these things up, I mean, the kids, they love it, absolutely love it. And it's like, how come you got to watch all this stuff and we're not allowed to? Well, you are, love, because, you know, we've got it, we can get it. But I just think that we've got a whole generation of kids now who aren't just kids anymore. They're becoming young adults who have not been exposed. I hate that word, but who have not experienced. That's the word I want to use. They have not experienced proper comedy. They have not experienced proper, you know, sort of shoot 'em ups, you know, comedy type things on television, because it's not allowed. And you've got to ask yourself, who is saying what it's not allowed, and why are they saying that? There's got to be something behind it, and I find it really sad. Anyway, I fight against it at every kick, in every which way I can. There you go. There's a bit of a pun. But yeah, no, if I can, you know, I'll do my bit in order to, you know, just say this is how it was, and this is what we were promised, and now it's all turning out not quite right for you lot, but we'll try.
So I've just
Well, you
asked, I
can.
put up, if you want us to carry on for the next 30 minutes, put one in the comments. So if you can read the comments, you'll see what they're saying.
No, I can't because I'm on the phone.
Well, it's 111111111. There you go. Well, I think Crinkle's now falling out with somebody else in the comments. That's nice.
Oh dear.
As long as you're happy, Crinkles, that's all that matters. Like, we like to perform a function for you of some sort, whatever that is. Yeah, so does anybody else want to come on and talk to us about the past? Because I do believe that that's what warms people up, right? Knowing what we had. Now, if we recap, right, what we had was a shitload of discipline, right? You were scared of your mum, dad, and you were scared of your
I'll tell you what you were scared of. You were scared of coming home from school and your mum saying, wait till your dad gets home.
Hang on a second. You snowflakes, you can't even take sex education for kids, let alone have gone it. Yeah, who really wants to educate our kids on sex until they've got to a certain age where they probably could be fine to be educated? You are the counselors. Oh, really? Okay. Well, there we are.
I'm a bit confused.
Crinkle at the moment is trying to wind people up. Betsy, is that? Did I see Betsy in there somewhere? Right. No, I didn't. Oh, fuck it. Right. What he's trying to do is wind everybody up, because at the end of the day, our generation.
Right, can I just ask you?
Yes.
So you're of the same age as me?
Yes.
Well, I'm presuming, or roughly so.
1975, love.
Okay, 1974 here. So there you go. Ding ding, got one on you. But when we were at school, all you had was quite literally the fundamentals. The boys were split into the girls. I can remember it now. It was a Tuesday afternoon, and the boys and the girls went into separate classrooms, and you were just literally told the fundamentals of what was what. These were this bits. These were those bits.
I missed it. I never got it. I didn't get it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I missed all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was at middle school. That was.
I was taught.
I think we were 11.
I was taught the facts of life by a neighbour, right?
That's it.
Right.
Oh, right. Okay.
What happened was
right.
we had a neighbour called Sharon. She was an oversexed 14, 15 or 16-year-old, whatever it was. And we were kids. We were tiny, right? So I would have been 5 and my brother had been 7. And by some weird, whatever it is, she had decided upon herself to tell us about the facts of life. To which we sat there bemused, listening to her going, oh. Anyway, turned out parents came home and bollocked her, right? It all went off. And then they had to sit her down and say, what have you told the boys, right? So she said, and apparently everything she told us was accurate, but most of it had just gone over our heads, right? So we were like, oh, right, so that's what I do, is it? Weird.
Oh,
And that
okay.
was it. So at a really young age, it'd been brought to my attention that this is what the birds and the bees do, which I had
Yeah.
no interest in, by the way, and nor did my brother. It was like,
No.
not at all. No. Staff BMX wheels. No, not interested. So, and that was it. And then obviously my brother being 3 years older than me, when I got to a certain age, he started
He said, "Hey, bro."
bringing in magazines, which I'd found. And I went,
Oh God! What, under the bed?
yeah, of course. Right. And I'm like, is she comfortable with that? Because you'd like this, you're like, she doesn't look. That's not a normal face of a bird. And you're trying to work out, aren't you? Is she in pain or is she happy? And that's your biggest quandary if you've got any sort of empathy at all. You're like, I think she's happy. Nope. No, I think she is definitely happy. It's a funny happy, but I think she's happy. And that was my problem with a lot of these magazines. I like, if she's not happy, I'm not interested. So,
No, your biggest problem was when your mum said, "Clean your room, or I'm going to clean it for you."
oh no, she did that all the time, but there was no magazines in my room, so I didn't worry.
Well,
right?
there you go. You were all right then. You were a very innocent boy.
No.
Well done.
My mother was an absolute OCD merchant, right?
Mhm.
So our house had to look like a show home, right? Even though it
Oh,
wasn't. So
a bit like ours.
there was
yeah,
no
apart from the
dust
dogs.
anywhere. My mother kept literally, it's like,
A tight ship.
fuck me, did she? Yes. And you couldn't make any mess. And have you finished playing with that? Mum, I've only just got the box out, for God's sakes. Don't you swear at me. No. So, yeah, we weren't allowed to make mess. And my brother was a scruffy fucker, so he'd wind her up all the time. That wasn't very good. But, yeah, me and my dad used to escape. But generally speaking, I did like living in a clean house. I loved it.
Well, no, you must do, because, otherwise you wouldn't want friends round, because that's embarrassing.
I was proud, right, to bring my friends around.
Yeah.
And they were proud to
There
come
you
around
go.
because they got chili con carne or spaghetti bolognese. One of the nights would be chili con carne, or one of the nights would be spag bowl. And it was funny because we had a knock at the back door policy that if you knocked at the back door as a mate, in you come,
Yep.
and you could whatever.
Yep, there's a portion for you. Come and sit down.
All of a sudden, on chili con carne night, there's 3 of the cunts outside, right? And the same on Mum was like, now she could be really cold, right, my old dear, really hard. But at times like that, she was completely the opposite. And she didn't tell you she was going to be nice. She was like, give him some food. And she could be really kind, but yeah, very cold. Different age group. But yeah.
Yes.
Would I grow up in that time again? Yes.
Yes,
100%.
100%. The amount of times that I've said, if I could, would I go back to the 80s? 100%.
I remember.
You know.
Do you remember when Dirty Dancing came out?
Oh yes, yeah.
Now, my mother was into Dirty Dancing.
That was quite risque at the time, I think.
My auntie Hazel was into Dirty Dancing, and I got the CD. But the CD for the album for Dirty Dancing was actually really quite good. It had reggae on it and all sorts. And I remember it was just around that time that I was very late in developing, right? Like, literally, all of my mates had gone through it, and I'm still there, really squeaky voice, about 5 foot, right? And my parents are getting to the point where they want to put me on medication and make me grow. And I remember going, why am I feeling emotional about this? Why am I feeling a certain attraction? What is all this love weird shit? And what was all this heartache stuff? And yes, all of a sudden the hormones came in one hit. And they were like, oh my days. And then I grew. But yeah. I'd love to go through it again.
It. No, we most definitely, I think, grew up in a far more innocent time, but a far happier time.
Mm.
and it was far more positive as well.
I'd love to drop into what I was going through back then, just for 10 minutes, right? And just go, what was that like? Was it good or was it bad? Just to see what it's like. So, you know, they listen to a foreigner. I want to know what love is. You're like,
Oh yes.
yeah. So, yeah.
No, there you go. That's that. But we are where we are. And all
we've
you
really
can do is
upset
deal with
Crinkle.
it.
We've upset Crinkle with happiness here. Do you see that? He's starting to go
Oh.
off his nuts here, right? Because he's tried to come in to upset us. And imagine we're all happy.
I don't
There
mind.
you are. Anyway, Crinkle, why don't you set up a live stream? They might go over to you in a minute. But there again,
Bless.
obviously Oklahoma might not be a fucking corridor for fucking bad storms. Anyway, I am going to slowly wind this up because I think that I probably should.
Good for you.
Simon is even scared that they have sex ed at school. Did you need to? Well, actually, it probably didn't matter to you, did it? Most of us didn't need sex education at school. Really didn't. And we didn't turn out to be like ruthless degenerates. And we managed to work everything out for ourselves.
No. What we did at the age of 11 was you would giggle at this is these bits and that's those bits, and they let you go on your way.
What if I got to read what Crinkle said. What if a teacher gave your kids fireworks on bonfire night, but they're all giving you snowflakes? Would you be camouflaging at the school gates for the head teacher said? It's not really an argument what you just put there, because we had common sense. Even back then, there was only a couple of fucktards, right, that didn't have common sense. Now, fucktards, we'll get onto this because this is really going to offend you, and I'm quite happy to do that. Most of us worked out that if it spat fire out of it and it zipped off so quick and it was made out of wood, the chances are if we didn't get burnt, the wood would splinter us. So we'd worked out that that was a bad idea. That was common sense.
Yeah.
That was also accountability. That was also
kids don't get that now.
No. So we'd worked all that out, right? And then we could let off fireworks. No problem. Sex, we worked out that there was such a thing that the opposite sex that we would fancy at some point we'd want to get more involved in, but we didn't need some crusty old fuck telling us exactly how it was meant to be, because to be quite frank, you would be the biggest turn-off there would be on face of the planet.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, I'm sorry, but if you went into the animal world and you tried to educate them, do you think they'd be listening? No, they work it out for themselves. It's as simple as that.
What a child needs to be doing is to be left alone until it decides it's ready for what it's ready for.
Mm-hmm.
So
they'll work it out.
I mean, if they want to teach sex education at 14, personally, which I think was around 13 or 14, they did to us, right? I wasn't there. I think it's a pointless idea because it's embarrassing for the teacher and the kids, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or it was apparently then. No, I think nature has a way of working itself out.
It does.
What you need to tell a person is there is such a thing as contraception, and if you want to get intimate with the other party, why don't you just use contraception and you can enjoy yourself as much as you like, as long as you use contraception. That way, none of you will have anything happen that you don't want to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
Yes.
You don't need to do any more than that. And there it is. But what
I agree completely. Yes.
What Crinkle wants us to do is go into great details about the different levels of sex to kids. And literally, and I say this metaphorically, is really push it down them. Right? Not nice, right?
See, I actually think that's the depths of depravity. I think it's ever so wrong. It's actually misleading to children because it's taking them down quite a sad path. And I think that most children, they can work it out for themselves if they have, some sort of very simple education, as in these are those bits, those are the others. They don't need extra teaching. They don't need telling what to do.
Crinkle's just said it's well understood that kids who get sex education grow up to be more responsible adults, less
No, they don't.
teenage preggers, and less STIs. This is the same person that's saying that people that take the vax are less likely to die of whatever. Let me tell you the truth. Kids that want to fuck will fuck. Kids that don't want to fuck won't fuck. Kids that want to use protection will, and the ones that don't won't. And no amount
Correct.
of an old person telling them what to do will make any fucking
No.
difference, you unbelievably gullible person. And that's the politest I'm going to be.
Yes, because once they've left that classroom,
And then he says, grow up, son.
and once the bell has gone at 3:30 or 4:45, those kids are on their own, and essentially they'll trust their own nous.
I'll
and
be,
they'll
I'll
trust
be
their
honest, I
own
was terrified
common
of
sense,
women.
hopefully.
I
Yeah.
loved women. I loved to not be around them and stuff, but the thought of losing my virginity terrified me. And I remember this one girl who was after my virginity, like you wouldn't believe it. It was never going to happen. Right? And I used to.
Too much pressure there.
There was loads. And she was a year younger than me, right? And she was after me like you wouldn't believe, right? And my mother knew she was, and my mother found great fun in the fact that she knew nothing would happen because she'd be checking, but she'd like to let her in, right? Give us some idea, right? I'd be like,
Oh
"Fuck
no,
this."
let it go so far and then
No,
sorry,
it's worse than that. No, it's fun. I was like, fuck this. I'm going home. I'm not getting caught by Sheena, right? That was her name. And I
Oh,
come
no.
home, right?
Oh,
and mum
no,
go,
no.
all right, yeah. And I got upstairs and Sheena was sat on my bed. I'm like, how can you do this? So for the entire time, I'm trying to repel this overly sexed lunatic redhead, right? Fuck off. And
Never trust a redhead.
well, you know, some of them are quite sexy, but this particular one scared the living shit out of me. But anyway, nothing ever happened. But my mother always thought it was quite funny to watch me under pressure. She's like, "You're right, kid." Yeah, like fuck off. And let Sheena'd go home hot and bothered, right? And there would be nothing because you're getting nothing out of me, right, motherfucker? And
Literally.
yeah, nothing at all. All right. And I'd be like, bastards, a lot of you. But and I was like, this tall. They take great pleasure. So anyway, yeah, there it was. I don't know how Sheena got on in life. I assume she had about 75 kids, which is nice.
Oh, God.
Any idea? But yeah.
There you go. Well, do you know what? The way to look at it is, if she had 75 kids, she's done her bit for society, handsome.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't want to have any kids." I'm like, no, I think that's your fucking job,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Between you and you, the pair of you need to produce. Otherwise, what happens? Is Henry losing his mind? Henry's not happy. Oh, bless.
Oh.
Right. Now, for 2 seconds, I'm going to go for a piss. Go get yourself a coffee, all of you, right? And I'm going to...
Am I going now?
Do you want to go and get a coffee?
Well, I can do, or I can go and pop to the loo, possibly.
Right. Well, I need to pop to the loo is the entire point of this. So you can stay on the phone, go to the loo and come back. Do you want to do that?
All right. Yes, can do.
Right. See you in a bit.
All right, then. See you in a minute. Bye.
Right. That was supposed to carry on like that, but unfortunately, when it does a loop, it finishes. Right. Not sure if we got the lady back. She might still be checking the porcelain. How are we all doing? We enjoying ourselves? We've still got 571 of you. Fuck me, there must be nothing else.
I'm back.
She's back. That's it. Might as well call it the co-host of this one. Yeah.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah. So where's the husband at the moment? Is he all right?
Yeah, he's absolutely fine. Oh, he's got it. Well, we travelled back and we ended up being awake for over 28 hours. We had a bit of a funny flight back. And I think we're both absolutely knackered, and we've both managed to pick up, I'd say, probably a bit of a cold from, the aircon.
You mean the can?
What you're holding up? I certainly haven't.
Well,
yes, I have.
I bought these things. Oh.
Mm.
But I'm trying to work out how to peel them, and there's no particular thing on the corners. So
What is it?
I don't know what they are. There's some sort of goujon.
Cauldron.
Middle
Right.
Eastern falafels.
Right, falafels.
What do you do with these things then?
Right, don't you normally deep fry them or you bake them?
No idea.
They're a bit like onion barges, but they're made with chickpeas.
Really? Oh, I'm gonna fart like
Yeah.
fuck. Right. No.
You
So
will.
basically, if they've sold them to you, you kill them.
Mm.
Oh shit! I just stabbed the cunt. Anyway, hopefully, what do you think they're going to say? Si?
Who?
I'm going to fart, aren't I? Well,
Yeah.
that's that then. Anyway, right. So
Right,
now-
so falafels, they're oh no, have you not cooked them? Are they cooked or not?
I assume so.
Well, you better check
Ready
when
to
you
eat.
eat them from
There you
the.
go. We're all right. Now, anyway, right. Shall we
All right,
ask
okay.
the punters what particular topics they'd like us to talk about? Because that'd be a good idea, wouldn't it?
Go on then.
Right.
Yeah.
So you lot.
Anyway, the husband is in bed with 3 golden retrievers, so I'm all right downstairs for a minute.
Yeah, but you're never going to get a position now because they've all gone. No, fuck.
You joking? When Mommy comes up, it's move.
Oh, is Mummy in charge?
Oh yes.
I think that's funny. What is it? He's 6 foot fucking terrible. Those big dogs, and all of a sudden, eight
Mummy's in the room.
stone of mum comes in the line. Shit, move.
Yeah, better move now.
Mm.
No, they're really good. They've all got their different places around the bed, so they're very good. They line the floor these days because they're getting on a bit, so they're pretty good.
All right, so we're gonna have a quick look through the comments here. One minute.
Mm.
I'm
I'm
I haven't
actually
got any
really
chili
glad that I
sauce, I'm
can't see
sorry.
them.
All right. So we're on a mission. If it wasn't for you, I would have lost the will to live. That's not entirely true, woman. You are keeping me sane while trying to finish these bloody flowers. All right, you're about to get married. So wishing we're on a mission. All the best to get married. I'm single again, so you don't have to worry about the extra ticket. Right. Private banking. Is that cruising ruling the world? Alan, I've not really thought about that, but now would be a really good time to start.
Go on.
Right. So, has anybody ever wondered why every country around the world is in debt somewhere?
Right. You should see what I put on my Facebook. I don't even know how I'd be able to send it to you, to be honest with you, but it's the most hilarious clip. And I think it was done about 2017. It might have been a bit later than that. And it was basically the most hilarious Australian clip of trying to explain the debt of Europe. It is brilliant.
I did watch them. They're
And it's
funny.
how
Have you ever heard the ship fell off? The front of the ship fell off. Same group.
No, this is, oh gosh, I'm just trying to think what the name of these people are.
He pretends to be a politician. He's grey haired, isn't he?
Yes.
Fucking
Yeah.
brilliant. Right.
And he's Australian, and he's basically gone through why Europe's in debt and who owes what to whom, and and basically how every single country owes everything to themselves. They just swap it around, and then somebody borrows something from America, and how can they afford it? Well, because China owns everything, and it's just absolutely superb. It's
Not
absolutely
entirely accurate,
bang on
but
the money.
some of it is very good.
No,
If you have a
no,
look
but
at
it
right?
just sort of points it out. It's
The
very
g-
good.
The guy with grey hair, they do this thing where the other one's interviewing him. He's a shipping
Mm.
person, and he explains why the front of the ship fell off and literally filled the ocean full of crude oil. And the questions are brilliant, but anyway, it's the same thing, right? So
I'll have to look that up.
ask yourself this: why is it that every country in the world is enslaved and in debt to another country? Now, if you actually believe that all these countries are intertwined by lending money out and they're all in debt to each other, that you're quite naive. But if you work out that they're all
Absolutely.
in debt
Yeah.
to private banking, then you're now on the right track.
They are.
Now,
Yeah.
should they be in debt to private banking? Who are these private bankers? Why aren't these private bankers obvious? And why shouldn't we know how much they lend, how much the interest is, why they lend, and what their obligations are? Also, what their criteria is. Well, it's not your business. All you need to know.
Well, it's not in their interests, is it? Because
Nope.
if you actually knew too many things, then you wouldn't do it.
So I'm going to be a complete cunt and say it's Jews. Right?
Sure. Hope you're enjoying those because you've not warmed them up in the microwave.
No,
or
they're
anything.
fine. Right. So
Right.
mainly, a lot of these major banking come from a certain group of Jews, but not all group of Jews.
Mhm.
These same people would wage war perpetually around the globe whilst enslaving their own people, some of the Jews, through war. These people consider themselves to be Jewish and also protected,
Above.
yet be the least Jewish. Although some Jews do not see us as human either if they believe their book. In the same way that Islam doesn't see us as humans, right? Unfortunately, that's life. That's the way their book teaches them. Never mind, they'll get over it one day.
I was going to say, at the end of the day, you know, wherever religion comes into things, you're always going to have, you know, you're always going to smack up against a brick wall.
And this is why I was never
in one sense or another.
And this is why I was never invited on the Tommy train. Because when you actually tell the truth, it doesn't work. So why is it that the entire globe was taught to think less and buy more? Why is it the entire globe was taught to worry less about integrity and morals and think more about yourself and how you could look better in front of everybody else? Why is it we were told to want to buy more and give less? All of these things were changed in the early part of the 19th century when a certain group of individuals realized that they're making a huge sum of money and that people's morals and ethics might stand in the way of these people making money unless they change people's perception and the way they looked at the way they grew up and what they valued, which is why over the years you'll see that Christianity has been attacked more than anything else and why we're told not to reproduce or get married. But you'll still see Muslims marrying day by day. You'll still see Jews marrying. You'll still see, and there's a few others, Plymouth Brethren, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses.
Do you know what? I'm going to make you smile then. I'm off to a wedding on Friday. Well, it's actually the wedding on Saturday, but we're going to travel down to Plymouth on Friday. And I'm well chuffed. I mean, it's one of my best friends, and she's already been divorced for quite a while. Her children are growing up now as well. She's getting married again, and I think fantastic, absolutely great. But I mean, I'm as guilty as most, despite the fact that I've always been a Christian, always. I've stopped going to church as much, especially since my dad went. But at heart, I am absolutely through and through. I'm Christian. You chuck me in a church, and I know the service word for word. It wouldn't matter whether I didn't go for 10 years; I'd still know it word for word. But I do think that the next generation, they've been brought up not to. And my kids are very much, if I took the children to church, they'll always be my children, even if they're 70. If I took them to church, they wouldn't know the words. They wouldn't. And I don't think my husband would either. It was only because we were very much brought up to be part of the village church. And we were brought up in a tiny village, which was absolutely superb. But where religion was the heart of everything. And there was only 70 children in the whole primary school where I went to school. So that just shows how tiny the village was. And the church was heart of everything. And we had the church hall just opposite, and the doctors,
And I've noticed
which
that
was only somebody's, go on.
even functioning Christian church schools at the moment, they're trying to close.
Yep.
Especially in
I
Wales.
know they are. I know. I just find it absolutely shocking. I just think it's awful. I mean, every single morning and right the way through middle school and right the way through high school, until we probably got into the early 90s, we had assembly every morning, and we used to sing hymns every morning, and it's all gone. And I think that's had a lot to do with
We used
what's
to
going
do
wrong, because
things like Morning is Broken and that kind of stuff.
yeah, every morning. The beloads. Oh, crikey noses. There you go. Listen to me. That's all my swear words and what have yous. Crikey noses. Well, where does that come from?
So anyway, Sweet
But,
Pea,
you know-
shall we give you a break, let you have a break, and I'm going to see if anybody else calls in. If they don't,
Go on. Do you know what? No, you do that, because I think I might go to bed. If I'm being dead honest, I'm absolutely pooped.
well, I'm not too far from
That's
yourself.
all
I've
right.
got a few pork pies that I could do there if I want to. Otherwise, it's
Anyway, you watch out with those falafels, because they do need to be cooked. So just make sure that they are ready
I've
to
just
eat.
done my last
because-
falafel. I've never had them before. That was me last.
Right, okay. Right, they're like onion barges, but they're made with chickpeas. So you've just had some of your fibre for the day. Let's put it that way.
Quite a lot of my
And
fibre.
you'll be all right. You'll be all right tomorrow.
You mean?
You might need to find a service station tomorrow.
No, I'm off. You mean I've got wind tomorrow, haven't I?
I think you will have. Yeah, just possibly. Yeah, it might be like eating 2 pots of baked beans.
Well, never mind. Never mind. Anyway, right.
Right,
Well,
it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
well,
And it's
I'm gonna
it's
try and get this
definitely
in
been a
me.
first. I've never phoned into any station before, and it's been that's been great. It's been lovely.
And hasn't it proved that it's easier than you think? Brilliant.
Yeah, definitely.
You just ring up
Yeah,
and
I
talk.
think so. Yeah, no, that's it. Just ring up and just have a conversation. It's all you need to do.
Exactly
Yeah.
that. Anyway,
Most definitely. Anyway, I'm sure you've got my number now. And yeah, there we go. At some point, I might maybe pluck up the courage to ring in again.
no worries. Well, what I'm going to do is, if nobody else calls in, we'll go to Discord and we'll all have a chat on there. So there it is.
Okay.
Anyway, my sweet
on what?
Discord. Have you not got the link? That's where we all talk amongst ourselves during the week.
I've got no idea. I'm not very tech savvy. if I'm
Right.
being very
Okay.
honest.
Somebody will, I'm pretty sure at the moment, because they're on here, put a link to my Discord in the chat. What it is because Alan's managed to do this, he separated it out. So you've got different chat rooms. You've got where you pay
Right.
information like UK information, abroad information.
Mhm.
And we've got a bike group, motorbike group. And we've got
Okay.
funny stuff.
Oh, I like my yes.
Memos.
Yes.
And then we've
Try
got
Sprint 900.
that's quite quick. And we've got a load of chat rooms as well. So say for instance,
Okay.
after here, we'll go in there and there'll be 20 or 30 of us all talking.
Oh, bless. Well, I'll be dead honest with you. I think I might be going to bed.
No worries, but you might pop in
I'm a
there.
bit of a lightweight.
Anyway, there it is. Anyway, you take yourself steady, and I will see you in a bit.
Angie, thank you.
no
Bye
worries.
bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, wasn't she nice? And that was unexpected. And it's nice to get a bird on here with their point of view. I've ate my falafels, which was probably a bad idea. And I think I'm probably pay for that. She won't understand what you're on about, Rev. No, I don't think she did. No. We tried, didn't we? Yeah. I think maybe at some point she'll come back on and go, where are you all? Well, Discord. Yeah. Well, we've been for the last 7 years, but whatever. Rev, do you have any thoughts on the Homeland Party? Nope. Don't know enough about it. I've heard of it, but vaguely, so no, I'm not going to make any. But I get to the point now where I'm thinking that any strong party with strong views is better than a weak party with no backbone. So, yeah. Rev, you burn yourself with sink plungers whilst they are suctioned to the wall. Excellent. I will bear that in mind. Right. Only 7 years feels longer. No, we've been doing this for years. I've been doing it now for about 9, I think. Fair enough. It's a run. A few old BNP lads. Nothing wrong with BNP. Steve Laws is leading guy in it. Now, hasn't Steve joined the Homeland Party? If Steve's about, by the way, I'd love to hear. I don't have an opinion. I don't know enough, and I'll speak to Steve to get some advice if he's about. But otherwise, I'll do it another night because he's probably tired and he's probably very busy. And also, I'll do it when I'm all sober. But I have heard about that. Steve is a manifestation of common sense. He's seen what's going on. He's seen the lack of reaction by the weak and the scared. That guy, he might not be the guy that comes and meets you face to face like this, but he has the minerals to do what many don't. What most don't, actually. He's got the minerals to come and stand up and say what he believes in, regardless of somebody coming out and attacking him or ruining his life. So that guy has huge kahunas. And he's dedicated to the point of being not obsessed, but just strongly dedicated. And many of us don't have that. I don't. Yes, I feel a lot about what I'm doing and what I'm saying and all the rest of it. But do I want to go down to Dover every weekend? No, I don't. It's 4 hours away. But it's not that far off from, when I say it's not that far off, it's not that far off being a long trip for him because he's not local. But yeah, he does it. The guy is more dedicated than most. And if on his time of looking through all these different things, that would be UKIP, that would be all the other parties. He's looked through them. And then he'll look through some of the other things. And if he thinks that Homeland is the only way to get a result, then with his thinking and judgment, I would suggest that you need to look into why. Hello.
Is that Rev? Is that Rev?
Yes.
Yes, mate. I'm watching your program now. I've had to go back because I missed you.
So
I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Keir Starmer? Bellend?
Well, it's beyond sarcasm. I look at him and I don't think he looks very well, and he doesn't look very normal, does he? Right?
He's an absolute arse.
No.
I can't believe he took the money off the old age pensioners for the heating.
Why not? He hates them, right? Now,
I know.
have you ever seen a wild animal look scared?
Yeah, I've got two. I've got a parrot. I've got a crazy parrot and a tarantula.
Now, when I look at that bloke, all he looks like to me is somebody who doesn't want to be put near the public at all. Right?
Yeah.
Now, there's a
Yeah.
reason for that. He's a weak, cowardly scumbag who realizes he's
Yeah.
shitting on the public. That's why he doesn't want to be near him. Because what if one woke up and battered him?
Well, he got kicked out of a pub the other day. Did you see that with the Scouse bird?
That was a couple of years ago.
She had a go at him, and they kicked him out, I think.
So, what do you think? I mean, what would you if Starmer tried to come into your place? What would you do?
Say again, sorry.
If Keir Starmer tried to come into your place, what would you do?
I wouldn't let him in, mate.
I'd be the other way.
Not unless he's paying for the beer. He's not coming in.
No, I wouldn't let him out.
You wouldn't let him out.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do? Times the radiator? No, he's an absolute knob. I can't believe we've got him. And what do you reckon about reform and UKIP? Because I've heard at first, I watched Paul Thorpe. You heard of him?
Yep.
And I watched his channel, and they were voting for reform with Nigel Farage. But apparently, he threw Tommy Robinson under the bus, didn't he, or something?
Yes, he did.
And I like Tommy Robinson. I think he's okay. So I'm not into that really.
Right.
Then the next one I'm thinking about is UKIP.
Right.
That's one
I'm going to really depress
to
you. now.
vote. To vote for. To vote for.
No, basically, UKIP was the beginning. The thing we all got on. That was Tommy. Call it the Tommy train, right? Because
They've invited Tommy to join the party, and Nigel Farage hasn't.
right back in the day
Yeah.
when Farage had UKIP, it was running in the red, right? And then
Yeah.
they just about managed to get the thing to start to run okay. But then as soon as we got the vote to leave Europe, which we weren't meant to get,
Yeah.
Farage shit himself and collapsed and left, right? And then he got a litany of idiots in there to finish off UKIP. But everybody was still seeing his UKIP as the opposition to what would be, I think it was it Labour and, well, anyway, it was the government at the time.
Not sure. Not
And
sure.
and I was one of those stupid fucking idiots that thought it was a good idea. Anyway, you got a litany of idiots in at that same point. I got into the Tommy thing and worked out that Tommy
I
was
know, yeah.
pointing out the things that nobody else was going to point out, right?
Are you going to the 26th of October this month?
Mate,
The roll.
I'm going to struggle to pay the rent this month. So, no, not at
Oh,
all.
you can't go.
Look, it's like
I'm not sure if I can go, really.
I've just paid.
I'm not get arrested. I don't get arrested.
You're not going to get arrested as long as you don't want to get arrested.
No, I don't want to.
Everybody here, right, watching this has self-restraint. Use your self-restraint. Don't get arrested.
Yeah, I
Don't
know.
give
I
them
know.
nothing.
I wouldn't try and get nicked, but apparently they're going to nick them all.
Well, if you walk in there politely and they nick you, do you remember the Martin Luther King stuff? The peaceful protest. You don't do anything. You're very polite.
Yeah.
That's the best you can do. Anyway, right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when I first got on the Tommy thing, right, I found out that he was pointing out that our kids have been raped for 40 years.
Yeah, they're practically getting up a time.
Massive problem. And then
He's the only bloke talking about it. No one else talks about it.
he's not the only one now, but he was then, and I listened.
Yeah,
He's
at the time, yeah.
He's the one that got me into, or part of what I was doing, what I'm doing now. So
Yeah.
I owe a lot to him.
I love what you do, mate. I love what you're doing. Every time you pop on, I like watching your things in your vehicle as well when you're in a lorry. I know it's not for long. You can't do it for long, can you? You're working.
Well,
Yeah, I watch everything you do,
We get
mate.
back to square one, right? Next couple of weeks, I hope. Right.
Yeah.
Then I'll be doing a lot of motorway mileage. Right. I'll be able to just put the phone on record before you set off, leave it recording, and what you'll do is you'll say your thoughts, and at the end of it, you'll edit them. But usually, as you've noticed, mine go from start to finish. So basically, I'll put it on, and then when you get something that really balls your piss, and you're like, hang on
Yes,
a
mate.
fucking minute.
My life. That's my fucking life.
Right. So that's when I start chuntering. And then when I'm done, I'm done. Right. And I'm no different you or any other fucker, right? The only difference is I just pop the camera on and record it, right?
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Right. we're not any different.
You speak for the people. You speak for the people, Rev.
I am.
That's what I like about
but
you.
this is the thing. I am.
You're a people person. You're a people person.
Yeah.
You get all these tossers on there. You know, some of them are shit, mate. And you listen to it and you think, fuck that, I turn it off.
I'm just same as you, same as every other fucker, right? That's it. I'm not. I was always wondering where it was going to go, but I'm just a bloke, so I don't want to go any further.
I know, yeah. But you do a good job, Rev. And I keep watching you. I really will. And I hopefully hear my voice when I play in a man, because I'm only like 15 minutes in at the moment.
Right, so I'll try and tell you where you are. Right, you're at 2 hours 55 minutes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. I've got a lot to go through then.
Yeah, but now you know it's 2 hours 55 minutes. You can just skip
Yeah.
there.
I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna listen to that all that.
No worries. Well, anyway, look, I'm probably going to wind it up because
Right then, mate. You pissed now. You pissed. You had a few beers.
no, I need to get more pissed.
All right. Okay.
Hmm.
You up to the pub or no? You
No,
drinking in the house.
I'm probably going to go to the congregation because I believe we got Henry Crinkle in there.
Oh, you got a bird now. She owns a pub. You're laughing.
No, I haven't got. No, it finished, mate. The other week.
Oh, it finished.
Yeah,
Okay, no, I won't ask you what happened. I won't go into details or anything.
it is what it is, mate.
Oh well. Wait, was it good at the time?
I enjoyed it.
That's it then. Yeah, mate, you'll get another bird. I'm sure you will.
Me too.
You better looking than me.
That's debatable, and that's only by opinion. Right. So I'm going to go.
Right, pal. Listen, Rev, it's been nice to speak to you, bro. I'll hang up now and let someone else ring you.
No, I'm going to go to Discord. So to everybody else, I'll see you over in Discord. Catch you in a bit.